Hey, I don't know if the stream has started yet. Let me check. Make sure I sound okay.
Started yet?
Yep, we are good. Hello, everyone. I know no one's here right now, but I'm starting a few minutes early, and well, technically I'm late. I wasn't sure I was going to do this last night. I was supposed to do this, but we had some unexpected health issues with Echo. As you can see, he's in the bottom corner right there, chewing on a bone for the first time in like 2 days, I think. I've been trying to give him food and treats, and he hasn't been eating too much. This morning, I saw so we went to the vet yesterday, and then we got home last night, and it was probably like 7-ish, 7 about 7 o'clock, and I just was tired, and I was like, I can't do anything tonight. I go, I'm gonna just cancel the stream, watch Shang-Chi. I made a bed on the floor, and I laid with Echo, and we just kind of hung out, and then I fell asleep like around 10:30 or something. So then I was like, I woke up this morning, I was like, oh crap, I didn't do my stream. So because I had a memory lapse. So I'm like, okay. So I made sure Echo was okay, took him for a walk. And that's why we're scheduling this now. So if you're here tonight, thanks for being here. If you're watching this later, I appreciate it as well. I just wanted to kind of, just catch up with people. And if anyone's here, I mean, I know it's a Saturday night, so chances are I probably won't run into a lot of people. But if we do run into a few folks, this will be a way I can catch up with you. And if you're watching this later and you aren't here live, you can still comment down below as well. Hey, did you see that is here? Hello, what's up, dude? Yo, Seek, I'm hyped that I managed to catch you live. Yeah, and tonight will just be like an hour to hour and a half. I'm still a little tired after everything going with Echo. And even though I slept pretty well last night, I did get up early today to do stretches. I have a shoulder injury and a back injury. The back one is not as bad as I thought it would be, but the shoulder one's still killing me. So I'm doing stretches and stuff in the morning. So I have been getting up early, and then I've been trying to do edits and stuff in the morning. Normally I used to stay up late and work late at night. And lately I've been going to bed earlier as like an old man and getting up at like 4:30 or 5 like an old man. So there's definitely a shift happening for sure. But hello, did you see that? Good to see you. VCXZ, how's it going? Saw the post about Echo. He is doing okay. You could probably see him in the bottom corner there, chewing on a bone. This is the first time he's chewing on a bone in like 2-3 days. He just hasn't been eating, hasn't had a lot of energy, been staying under the bed, wouldn't come out. I would see like his like tears like in his, his like fur would get really wet. He was like crying. And it was pretty. I didn't know what was going on. I thought, okay, at first I was like, all right, he's had like stomach aches before or something like that. It'll probably pass. Let me just change up his food or give him something and not worry about it. But then when I woke up the next day and I saw notes on my desk, Echo hasn't been feeling well. If you forget, call a vet. There's one at Hunters Creek. Like I did some of the research myself the night before and left it for me in the morning. And thank God I did, because then I woke up and had a plan already made for me, which helped out big time. And oh, dude, did you see that drop in the pounds, man? Or euros, I guess. They do. Thank you so much. Just a little something for you to treat Echo with. I will. He is chewing on this bone that I bought him like a week ago that I never gave him. And tonight I got home from work. I took him for a walk, and he actually managed to get down the stairs by himself again for the first time in a couple days. And once I saw that, I was like, okay, maybe we're doing okay. Maybe he's getting better. And he finally went to the bathroom, like number 2. So that's a big relief, because he hasn't done that he had like a little bit 2 days ago, but not a lot. So they gave him something to put in his food. And they said, hey, let us know over the weekend if it helps. And he did his business. So we are moving. This is good. And then now he's chewing on a bone, and he made a little bit mess. You see his food bowl back there. He made kind of a mess on the floor, which he's not really supposed to do, but I let it slide today because he's a good boy. So I'll pick it up later. I figured he might still go nibble on it. So some of it I was trying to feed him from the bowl and he wouldn't. So I'd take some out and feed it from my hand. And then at some points, there he goes. He's cleaning it up now. He's eating it up. He heard me talking about it. And then I was giving him water like from my hand. And that's pretty unusual. I never have to go that far to do something like that, because the bed is right here next to me. And then his food's right there. So it's just like 6 feet, or no, not even. I mean, I guess it's a little bit more than that. Maybe it's like 5 yards or something, or a couple yards, but it's not a long walk. It's that, maybe not even yards. So yeah, it's fine. So I was scared though. He wasn't walking that far to get his food. So I was bringing his food and water closer to him, and that still wasn't helping. So I laid on the floor next to him, and I would hand feed him and give him water from my hands. And that was the only thing he was eating and drinking for a couple of days. So it freaked me out. Turns out, I mean, he is getting older. When I got him, I actually didn't know how old he was. He was a rescue that we literally found in the street. And this was almost 10 years ago today. I mean, actually on Thanksgiving, I got Echo 2 days before Thanksgiving in 2011. So almost 10 years ago today. And when I got him, I brought him in. He had bad teeth. He had patches of hair missing. He had some fleas and stuff. And they couldn't determine his age because of his teeth. So they were like, we think he's a year old, but he could be 2 years old or somewhere in between. We don't know. So it seems like he may actually not be like this whole time. I've just been counting his birthday since I've had him, but he's not really 10 years old this year. He's probably 11. It turns out we found out yesterday he might actually be closer to 12 years old. And that means he's older than even I thought he was. And he's starting to have knee problems. He has been going blind for probably like 6 to 8 months now, I think. It's a slow process, but you can see his eyes kind of glazing, like they're turning gray almost. So it's just tough. I wasn't expecting to watch him get old like this. There were so many close calls I've had over the last 10 years that I thought he would outlive me. So that's been tough watching him get old, and it's been tough me growing old with him because, like I said, my shoulder and parts of me are starting to fall apart too. Hello, Riddle John. What's up? Hello, hello. Hey, Riddle John. How's it going? Saw your Morbius reaction. You seemed way more optimistic about it than before. I think it looks cool. Hope it's a good one. That new trailer actually was neat looking. The visual effects looked better than I was expecting because Venom, I like the Venom movies, but there's some shots in there where I thought the visual effects weren't up to par to what some visual effects are in movies nowadays. Like I feel like there's a standard now where, okay, it should at least look like this or somewhere in the ballpark of this. And Venom, some scenes looked better than that ballpark for its budget, and some look not as good for its budget. So I wasn't sure about Morbius because I'm pretty sure it has a smaller budget than Venom, and yet it looks better in some ways. So I don't know if I don't know why the reason that is, but I thought some shots in there looked better than I was expecting, and so that last trailer kind of perked me up, and it did bring out some optimism in me. So yeah, definitely. And Resident Evil's been doing that. If you watch my gaming channel, I've been following the Resident Evil movie, much like we do with Venom here on this channel. And we're nearing episode 100 of the Resident Evil channel. Excuse me. It's funny. I was explaining to someone the other day. They're like 700 Venom episodes in 4 years. 4 years in like 3 days. But I'm going to cheat and just say it was 4 years. I think I missed the 4-year marker by like 3 days. But anyway, they were like, "You've done 700," and I'm like, "Yeah." And I go, "But I've also done other shows like Seek and Destroy and all that stuff." And the Ghost Rider show and things. And I said, but I've done almost 100 Resident Evil episodes. I think I just uploaded episode 94 the other day. And someone was like, "What? You have a whole nother show like Venom, but you do for Resident Evil?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, I stay pretty busy." And I've been writing books, 3 novels, and revisiting a comic book series that apparently I wrote years and years ago. I think even before my aneurysm. I can't even remember how far back. But the writer of that, Mark Polton, he came up with the idea of a World War II ghost story, and he pitched that to me. And he said, "Would you write the script?" And so I guess I did like 10 or 12 years ago or something, and I forgot all about it. And so I've been digging up my old notes, and we're trying to rewrite it because he wants to do a Kickstarter for it or a GoFundMe or something for it. And the art is looking great. I saw some pages; it's looking fantastic. So I'll be sharing some of that stuff with you guys at some point soon. But yeah, hey, what's up, Tevia? How's it going, man? And now I'm pronouncing your name right after all this time. If you guys haven't checked out my recent Parasite podcast, Tevia is on it, and he's awesome. And it was a great talking to you, because for a long time I would see Tevia in other people's comment sections. That's how I first found out about Tevia. I would go check out Thinking Critical and some other YouTubers that talk about comic books and movies, and then I would see Tevia just commenting, and I'm like, "Who is this person?" And so finally one day I was like, "Oh, he's got an image, like, as you know, he's not just doesn't have just a letter as his name. He has an actual image. So let me go check out his channel." And it turns out he did comic reviews and rants and videos and gameplays and stuff like that, playthroughs. So I was like, all right, I'm going to follow Tevia. And finally, after all these years of knowing you and talking to you through comments, I finally got to talk to you on the show, and it was a blast. So please go check that episode out if you haven't seen it. All right, so I caught up on comments, and thank you, Mike. Z, did you see that for that? And he's another great channel. Riddle John is a great channel. Like, so subscribe, make some friends here if you're watching later on. Riddle John does really cool tech reviews and does great videos. Had an interview with me on there, which was really nice of him. Did you see that? Also has a great channel, Back to the Future, a lot of stuff on his channel. But he's also doing a new show where he's going to be building with Lego brick. and has invited, I guess he's inviting people on to like, come cross streams with him. So you may see me on there. I've been saving, I know it's not Lego, but I've been saving a Halo set just for an invite. So if you do invite me, I have something to build. It is a Lego Mega Constructs, Lego. It's a Halo Mega Constructs set where you build an actual piece of a Halo ring. I think I bought it like 5 months ago, like around my birthday, 6 months ago, and never. It was on sale for half off, like $12 or something, and I'd never been able to build it. So we'll make time. We'll build it. Yeah, I remember you saying Tavia, yeah, and thinking, I would have thought the name would have been pronounced Tevia. I don't know why I said Tavia. I think I heard another YouTuber pronounce it that way, and it just stuck in my head. So without reading his name phonetically out loud to myself, I think someone addressed him, whether it was Thinking Critical or someone else. I think they said Tavia, and I just, for some reason, that stuck in my head. So for a long time, I kept saying Tavia, and when I finally had Tevia on the show, he was like, "It's just Tevia, like Tev." Tev. I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense the way it looks." I didn't think about it. Hey, what's up, Cam? How's it going? Ahoy there. Thank you for letting me be on your podcast, dude. It was a blast having you on, man. Thank you for being on. Part 2, all I can say, man, is hearing your love and how much you cherish Echo. It gives me fond memories of my dogs, and if I can help you or Echo at all, I will. Well, you don't have to. You do. Your words are more than enough, and I know I've had a couple people write me messages. So for those who don't know, I think it was like a month and a half or 2 months ago. Was it October's rent? I think. So at my job, I work in sales and stuff for Harley Davidson, and so there used to be a thing where I got paid not as much hourly, but I would make bonuses based on my sales for the month. And so for a couple months there, I was actually doing pretty good. I was trying to catch up on past bills and my surgery for my birthday, and trying to balance, like getting back to where I don't have to like borrow money from a friend. And usually when I borrow, I like to pay it right back. I'll say, okay, I needed this for this paycheck, but on the next paycheck, I will give you the money back. And I try to, if I borrow something, I try to keep it around $100, so I know I can pay that back and still try to make it through the month. I try to sell a few things on eBay. Like I try to do things. Actually, if you all the stuff you see back there. So when I first moved in this apartment, I had this whole room full of shelves with figures and statues and stuff all over them. When you first walk in my apartment, in the foyer and in that area, which is kind of supposed to be the dining room, but it's too small to be a dining room, and it's right when you walk in, so you would just walk right into a dining room table. So it never made any sense to me. That was full of figures. All my Transformers were there, and then all my DC figures were in the living room. And I just had figures. I was like, hey, screw it. It's my place. I don't have a roommate. I'm going to decorate this whole place. And over the course of like this year, there's been stuff I've just sold. Like I just, created an eBay account and just started selling stuff and getting rid of it. So I can help out, myself for bills and stuff. So everything now I have is in this room or in my closet right here next to me. There's one bin, a gray bin in there with like a couple Venom toys and a couple other things that you don't see out here. But I got everything now to just this one room. And as you can see, they're not even all cramped together. They're spaced out pretty good in those cubes and stuff. So yeah, I've reduced a lot. And then I've had friends. I'm like, I had to borrow money, like $240 to pay rent. And I told the people who let me borrow money, I was like, I'll pay you back. And one of them was like, you don't have to. And then some of the other ones were like, hey, if you can, you can. If not, you don't have to. But I made sure I paid them all back. And actually just yesterday, I was at the vet with Echo, and I paid the last 2 people back that I need. I paid 2 in the morning, and then I paid 2 last night. And I'm like, all right, now I'm good. So anyway, the bonus thing, I don't make the bonuses anymore. Instead they decided to raise my hourly rate and get rid of the bonus program. They asked me what I wanted to do, and I voted to get rid of the bonus because there are times where I could hit that bonus and I would make like an extra like $800 or sometimes even $1,000 a month. So I would take my 2 paychecks and that extra 1,000. So I would have enough for bills and everything. I could catch up. I knew if I was forfeiting that because we're running low on materials, we're running low on products sometimes. And I was like, well, what if I have months where I can't hit the goal? Because that has happened before and I get no bonus and I just have the 2 checks I get. Wouldn't it be nice to at least know that my 2 checks can at least cover rent and maybe like an extra bill or 2? And then I'll have to do these other side things at times to like pay the rest. But because that transitional month, I didn't get a bonus the month before to save to make that transition easier for me. So I was at a disadvantage. So luckily, some people came to help me. So I posted that Echo wasn't feeling well, and Did You See That wrote me and said, "Hey, do you need to borrow money?" And I'm like, "No, like I don't need to borrow money. Already people did that, and I just paid everyone back, so I don't want to do that. But you donating here to this is very nice of you. But again, you guys never have to do that. I will always try to find something. Someone mentioned, they said, what would you need? Like, what would be a good safety number? Like, if you had to hit, like, using YouTube, they're like, you put out a lot of content, but you don't really like ask for money. You don't do memberships. You don't do things like that. Although I've talked about it before and stuff. But they're like, what would the goal for a month would be? I said, if I could make like $100 a month on YouTube, that would probably be like the extra grace that I need. I could just use because I can live off of $50 of for food, for groceries. That $50 I can stretch for at least a week and a half, if not 2 weeks. So I'm like, $100, that'll be great. That could be almost my groceries for the whole month, and then some food for Echo too. And then I can make up the difference on something else. But I don't want to have like a tab that's says like goal for the month $100. Like, I like doing this as a hobby. And because I don't even know what the whole point of this episode, I don't even really know what the future of this channel is. I'd feel weird doing that now, at least at this point. Maybe it's something if I work it out in 6 months from now and figure it out, maybe we can talk about it then. But I honestly, that's what this is. It's a channel update. And we can talk about movie spoilers too. So if you are watching, we haven't got into spoilers yet, obviously, but if you don't want to hear any movie spoilers, we might be talking about that throughout this episode. So if you got to turn away now and Venom, Let There Be Carnage hasn't released in your part of the world yet, I would say turn away and come back after you see it, just in case we talk about spoilers. I don't know if we will or not, but just in case it comes up. But the other thing is the channel update. So I don't know what to do. I think when I started Venom Vlog, I was 35, and that was 4 years ago. So I was thinking about that. I was like, I was 35 and I was interested in this character because Tom Hardy was playing him, not because just as a character I thought Venom was interesting. Although as we've discussed him and broke down the character and looked at all these great comics starring him, and the symbiote itself, I've come to love the character a lot more than I ever thought I would. But what got me into this was Tom Hardy, because I'm a huge fan of him as an actor, and so that he was my gateway into this character. And now look what we've done with the character. Like, we've dissected him in every way. You guys know everything I feel about Venom, like everything. I think if someone was saying, they were like, are you going to read the new Venom comic? And I said, no, I think it'd be a funner, more interesting social experiment to see how many of you read it and know, because of what I love about the character, what I don't love about the character, you could almost hear my voice in your head probably of, as you're reading it, of what you think I would like and wouldn't like. So I think that's a much more interesting social experiment. So I'm like, I'm not going to read the new Venom. I'll let people maybe think what I would review it. But I always tell people, if you have reviews for the new Venom comic and you want to send them to me, I'll share them on the community board. Absolutely. And throw some love your way. But for me, I think you all know what I think about the character. So we're just going to wrap up all the Mike Costa run and any other comics where Spider-Man's in the black costume. We're going to wrap those up. And then after that, I think I'll only talk about Venom when it comes to the new Spider-Man video game. And that'll be the only way I keep this show going, is the Venom Vlog show, is to talk about the video game version of him. And obviously, if they put him in another movie, or if they put him in a, fighting Spider-Man or whatever they do, I'll talk about it then. P.S. Definitely invited you on the Lego build. Whilst building the set, we'll give you and certain YouTubers links to join me and come talk, ask questions, and heck, build Halo. Okay, cool. All right, yeah, I'll probably build Halo because I just don't have any Lego set right now to build. But if I get one between now and then, I'll have it. So I said 4 years ago I started this show, and I was 35, and I was very active in comics. I was I was just leaving a job in comics. I was an editor-in-chief, marketing. Like, I was doing all those things in comics for years, and I loved ate, slept, and breathed comic books. I don't really anymore. I have changed a lot when it comes to things. I go into the comic store. I like to pick up the new Spawns, and if Dark Horse puts out like a new Halo comic, I like checking those out, but they rarely do that anymore. And I know sometimes I find things to read, like the new Spider-Man with Ben Reilly. I'm excited to see Ben Reilly, and the Slingers are coming back. So there's a little bit of like kind of nostalgia for me there. but I don't, it's not like it was. And it's not because I think comic books are silly or anything like that. It's not like I'm getting too old for comics. I guess I've just read so many stories now. It's like movies. I actually don't like going to theaters. Movies don't excite me like they used to. Occasionally, I'll get one like Resident Evil. I'm pretty excited for. I'm surprised because I didn't really like the other Resident Evil movies, but this one seems neat, and that's why it's been fun doing that show on my other channel. But I don't really get excited about stuff that much. I think I deal when I'm not excuse me, when I'm not doing this show, like my life is very like I don't know how to say it. Like I'm very kind of a, 9 to 5 blue collar type. I just like keep my head down and doing my job. I like to have fun at my job though, because I think when I have fun at my job, it makes me forget about my personal crap. So that way I don't bring it to work with me. And it keeps my work ethic strong. It keeps me my head on the goals and the tasks of my job. And I think it makes me pretty good at my job. I hope, at least. I hope others feel that way about me. Doesn't really, I guess I want to feel like I'm doing a good job, but I oftentimes feel like I do. I go, considering my limitations at times, I feel like I do a pretty good job at whatever job I work. I like to keep things simple. And if I go in after a memory lapse, I usually, what I've been doing lately is I've been taking pictures of stuff that I've worked on. So if I go in, like if I have a day off and then I go back a day later, like, so I'm like 2 days since my last, day on the job, I look through my phone and see I'm like, okay, I did boots on Monday and I did shirts on the wall on Monday. So I won't do those today. Today I'll clean helmets and I'll dust and then I'll interact with customers and I'll do all that stuff. And that's kind of what I've been doing to kind of keep track of stuff at work because I keep forgetting. So I'm coming up with systems, and most of my life now is I'm not really a schedule kind of guy. But so now my life though, I still don't schedule things that much, but I lean into my habits a lot, like my natural habits, so I can make notes for myself, and it's easier to do, like because I know I'm gonna when I get to work, okay, I got to do stuff, flip through my phone, and I start making those muscle memory things that might stick long term, since my short term isn't doing too well. So all these things is like what I think about when I'm not doing this show, and that's why sometimes when I'm doing the show, I'm like, shoot, I got to shift my brain into comic book mode, and I got to go read like a bunch of comic books to discuss these character beats and moments in these comics. And it's just a total shift in my brain, and I have so many problems now where I like will read a comic, take some notes, and if I don't record my episode that night, I run the risk of over the next day or two forgetting the whole comic that I just read. And then I come back and look at the notes and I go, okay, well, these are notes and there's some images I saved from the screen grabs of my, reading the digital copy, but I'm still like lost. I need to reread it. And the thing is that doesn't make me frustrated because I don't remember reading it the first time or the previous time. So it doesn't make me frustrated, but it does make me think I'm wasting time or putting double the amount of time into something. So I guess it's probably good that we're nearing a point on the Venom vlog where I don't have anything else to say about the character. So that way around episode 750, we can end the show, but not really. We'll still do episodes, from time to time. We just won't do any more 150 episode seasons. It'll just be whenever some news comes up, I'll do a Venom episode. So probably like 1 or 2 episodes a month, and that's how we'll get to eventually. But I want to get to episode 750 first. So we got a lot to discuss. You're going to become a voice in all our heads. So you're going to be a real life symbiote. That's what this whole thing's been about, VCXZ, this whole time. Sorry, I got an itchy ear tonight. Does that mean money? Which one's money? Because my nose was itching earlier, but I think that's allergies. Yes. I guess I will just be a voice in all of your heads. That's how I'm gonna live forever, is just being a voice in people's heads while they read Spider-Man comics. Hulk Dummy says, my PS4 Marvel Legends figure just arrived. Nice. Oh, that's awesome. That's a nice looking figure too. I actually saw that. Hey, Seek, how are you doing right now? I'm doing okay, man. How are you? Good to see all of you in here. Thanks for popping in. I really do appreciate it. So I know I do have people of different age groups that watch my show, obviously, or watch the various shows I do on here. I have some people that just like the Ghost Rider stuff, so they don't really tune into the Venom stuff. I have some people that only watch the Venom stuff and they don't tune into any of the other stuff I do. And I totally get that. I understand. And I know that most people came here from Venom, because when we started the Venom show 4 years ago, I had, I think, about 560 subscribers. and now we have 2,000 more than that, 2,200 more than that. And so I imagine most of the people that have signed on are Venom fans. So I know how weird it must sound when someone goes, "Yeah, I know I've been doing this for 4 years, but I want to do something else now." And I think it's not because it feels like work or anything. I mean, we're literally almost out of comics. We've talked about almost every comic Venom has ever been in, minus a couple, other world stories or alternate Earth stories. We've talked about all the video games, all the toys for the most part. Like, we've covered this character. Like, there is very little else to say about him. And so I just feel like this is a good place to end the grinding of this show at episode 750. And then after that, still do episodes from here and there. I mean, obviously, when the Venom of the Spider-Man 2 video game comes out, I'll do the playthroughs on this channel if I'm able to, and we'll make those episodes too. So when that game comes out, you'll probably have 20, like 1 hour episodes right there. So those will all drop around the same time. So but like I said, I guess conversation wise, when I started this show, it wasn't just to talk about Venom. It was also like, remember in the beginning, I was looking at my weight and I was like trying to lose a few pounds, and I was there was all these other ththings. I had other stuff we squeezed into the Venom vlog that we kind of disappeared over time. Um, but I get, and we talk about, sometimes mental health, but that's because Eddie, it relates to Eddie in a way, because he's tried to take his own life like more than once in the comic books. So he opened the door to a lot of conversations, and I think over the years I've really enjoyed talking about that kind of stuff because I relate to that kind of stuff, some of it. And the comic book stuff, I was like, all right, well, people know how I feel about the guy, so maybe this is where we jump off on that part of the show and let the show evolve into something else. But I like having those conversations. So I was thinking about doing a Superman show, which I've done before on Patreon. And then my friend of mine who actually used to work for DC and stuff, he was like, yeah, maybe you don't want to do it with Superman, because I've tried to do things with Superman before. Like I wanted to do a comic book about brain aneurysms with Superman, and I pitched it to DC and stuff, and they were really nice, but they're very particular about the types of things you say with their characters and stuff. And so my friend was like, I'm not saying anyone's gonna, give you a hard time, but maybe you don't want to do a show where you talk about, real world topics and relate it to Superman, because maybe you'll talk about something too controversial or something. And I think my friend was just being overly cautious, but that's fine. I like the feedback. But I was thinking, like, Halo is a universe I really love. And what I like about Halo is that it's a very like, it's everyone in it is like these, hardworking, willing to sacrifice themselves. They have big, high morals. They're fighting for the world, fighting for the universe. There's big stakes. There's a lot of good people there, whether they're Spartans or not. People with really good hearts and really good morals. And I was like, yeah, it's not maybe it doesn't set an example like Superman does, but there's also a lot of gray in Halo, and I find myself more interested in talking about gray topics. So I think what I'm going to do is tomorrow you'll see the first episode, but the first episode is just like me talking about why I want to do the show and why I love Halo so much. But I'm going to do these audio logs. I wouldn't want to call them podcasts because they're not very long. They're like 15 minutes or shorter. And it's just me talking about a topic. Some of it will pertain to Halo. And then there's episodes where I already recorded a couple of these where the whole episode is about work ethic and what does work ethic mean to you? What does having a good work ethic mean to you? What is, do you find yourself lazy at times? And what do you do to fight laziness? And do you think it's okay to be lazy sometimes? Because maybe sometimes working too much is a bad thing. And it's a conversation like that, if that makes sense. And I know there's going to be some people that are just going to be like, boring, dude, I don't care. But I'm going to be 40 years old next year. And these are the things I like to discuss. Like in my everyday life, I like to talk about people. People is the other reason I got into YouTube. I wanted to meet people, and I wanted to see people's different opinions on stuff. And I wanted them to not agree with me, but talk it out with me. And I wanted to prove, I guess, that everyone online isn't just a douchebag that yells and tries to get their point across, that they actually listen to each other, or they have the capability. I believe in people a lot, sometimes too much, I feel, or people tell me I do, but I don't care. Even when people disappoint me, I'm like, but there's still something there. I think I can still get through. I think we can crack this conversation nut. The internet was built in a way to bring us all closer, but I feel like oftentimes it tears us apart. So I'm like, if we can agree or disagree and have a civil conversation over something small, like Venom, like just a one fictional character, if we can do that, maybe we can grow on that. I think after 4 years of talking and agreeing and disagreeing on with different, with some of you on Venom, maybe now we can talk about things like work ethic and like laziness and lies. Like sometimes like I say this in the episode about work ethic, how people online often lie about what's going on in their life when they post stuff. And I saw this thing on Instagram where they say, have you ever talked to a guy and you asked him how he was doing? He just says, I'm okay, or I'm fine. And I was thinking about that. I'm like, I do that a lot. Even when I'm not doing well, I tell people I'm fine because I don't like people to worry. And I think sometimes people worry a lot about me because of the stuff I have going on, or, echo and all that stuff. And I just don't want people to worry. It's all going to work out. It's all going to be fine, whether it ends, sadly or not. It's fine. Like it's going to be what it is. Um, and so for me, I'm like, I don't like people worrying. I don't like pity and stuff like that. So I hide a lot. So sometimes I'll post, like, everything's going well. And because I feel like my last two posts were sad posts and too many people worried about me. So I freak out and I go, no, tell them you're doing okay now. And so that's kind of the lie I sometimes tell, is that like I put on a stronger shell to make people not worry so much. And so I talk about that in the episode, one of the episodes. I'm like, is that healthy to do? Is that not healthy to do? Why do we lie to protect people, or why do we lie to avoid certain emotions and feelings? I don't know. These are things as a 39-year-old man, I just find interesting, because I people have for the last 10 years been the focus of my interest. And I still don't understand people a lot of times, and I don't understand myself. And I thought this would be a fun way to discuss all that. So let me catch up on comments here before I bore you guys to death. Pretty good. Not really doing much today. Some chores. Oh man, I did some chores. I think, well, I don't know what week it was now, but it wasn't too long ago. And my board had all these notes like, good job, you vacuumed. Good job. You swept the whole floor, the whole apartment. Good job. You wiped all the counters. So I must have had a really productive day recently. Did you hear about the No Way Home trailer coming out Tuesday? I have not. What's up, RCME 123? I have not. I am not as big of a Spider-Man fan for the Marvel Universe version as some people are, but I'm not a hater of it either. I just I like Tom Holland as Spider-Man, and I like the villains. Like I like Michael Keaton as Vulture, and I like Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. But outside of those, I didn't really like too much about those movies. So I haven't really been following the hype too much of No Way Home. So I'm kind of in the dark about some of it. But I will watch the trailer. I don't know if I'll do a reaction to it unless unless you guys want me to. I'm off Tuesday, so I will if it's available. If you want me to. But I wasn't planning on it. But that's great. Yeah, thanks for updating me, because I guess there was some leak the other day. I don't even know what happened there. Like I have no idea what's going on. Who knows, maybe I saw the leak and I forgot about it, but I don't even remember what the leak was. I think it was a picture of some kind. So I don't even know. But I haven't stayed up on that movie. Unless Venom's in it, I'm not really interested. Eric says, excited I was able to catch this one. Glad you're here. Hey, question, you said you weren't going to see Eternals. What's your take on the movie? I did not see Eternals. So my friend Nathan invited me to see Venom. We saw Venom opening day. He paid for the tickets. I bought a drink, alcoholic drink, because it was like a Carnage drink. I'm allowed to have one of those every now and again. But we watched the movie, and then I guess I had a memory lapse either later that night or the next day sometime, and I forgot the movie. Luckily at that point I had already recorded, I think in my car, like my brief thoughts of the movie. I guess I did that right after I saw the movie. So I at least had that recorded, and I was able to upload that to YouTube. But I had to go see the movie a second time to remember what happened. So, which was weird, because I was like, oh, now I have to avoid spoilers. I'm like, oh shoot. So that was an interesting experience. So after that happened, I told my friend Nate that I wasn't sure I wanted to go to movies anymore, because I felt like I wasted his money. Like I'm like, I mean, I know he has the memory of us going and probably enjoyed any conversations we had that night and stuff, but I don't remember it. And so I told him I feel bad, and I just didn't want to waste anyone's money. And plus, now it gets darker earlier, and I'm not really allowed to drive at night. So I was just like, yeah, let's put a cap in movies. So Shang-Chi, I did not go see with them, although I did watch it last night on Disney Plus, late last night, I think. And then and it was pretty good. Eternals, though, I've never been a fan of the characters of the comic. I love Jack Kirby, but to me, that was the my least favorite Jack Kirby ever was Eternal stuff. So I'm not very interested in the characters already. But I don't know. I'm sure it's pretty good. Kumail Nanjiani's in it, and he's someone I used to know when I lived in California. When I was on Dan Harmon's podcast, Harmontown, Kumail was there a couple times, and he stayed in touch with me. And there was times where I would see him out when I go to movies. And I think I was at a movie with my friend. I'm blanking on names now. Madison. We saw Jurassic World. I think it was Jurassic World. Maybe it was the second Jurassic World. I can't remember. But we were coming out of theater, and I heard, "Hey, Seek, how's it going?" I look over, and it's Kumail Nanjiani, his wife Emily, she's amazing as well. They're both amazing people, and it was like the entire cast of that show he did. What was it called? Something Valley, um, and it was like the whole cast. And Madison was like, "Why is Kumail Nanjiani screaming your name?" And I go, "Oh, I was on a podcast, and he's been a guest, and he knows me from that." And she was like, "Oh my God." So like I had won like a ton of cool points with her that night. But she was like, "Can we go talk to him?" I'm like, "Yeah," he called me over. So we went over and had a full conversation about Jurassic World. And apparently out of that whole group, Thomas Middleditch, like all these people were there, and I'm the only one who liked the movie. And they all looked at me like, "Okay, weirdo." And I'm like, "Well, to be fair, I do have brain damage." um, but so I'm a big fan of Kumail's, and so I would like to support him, but I just can't go to the movie. I just can't put myself through that unless I go to a matinee, which I might consider. But Resident Evil is the next movie I want to see, and probably the last movie I'll see in the theaters, maybe ever. Who knows? Unless I hear if Venom, if there's some connection with him and Spider-Man, maybe I'll go see Spider-Man as well. But I have to go do a matinee. So on Thanksgiving Eve on the 23rd, I get out of work at 1 p.m. and we work near a movie theater. So I'm just going to go right after work and see Resident Evil and record my review probably in my car um, and have it up that night. So yeah, so I don't know about Eternals. I mean, it looks fine, but I never really like those characters too much. So I hope that answers your question. Did you see it? Did you like it? Yeah, I followed you because of Venom, specifically your Venom Island review, which was making rounds on Tumblr. Still love that review, by the way. What? People shared my reviews on Tumblr? Venom Island? Is that the which one was that? What's Venom Island? Is that did Donny Cates write that one? Is that the one where I guess that would be Donny Cates. I'm guessing it's the one after Absolute Carnage. Why did that make it? Why was that on Tumblr? Like, did I say something in there that was Tumblr worthy? Yeah, let me know. But yeah, so I'll still keep Venom stuff around, but there's just other things I guess I want to get off my chest while I can remember to. So hopefully Halo will be the way for me to do it. But if you don't like it and you unsubscribe, like I mean, it's not. It sucks. I'd hate to see it go, but at the same time, like people grow apart. I mean, the fact that we all have this, we'll always have this. We'll always have these 700 and we'll get to 750, but at the very least, but we'll always have these episodes that brought us all together, which is awesome. This is our Venom Island, right? We all found our way here from different shores. There was some symbiote lighthouse that brought us all to this place, that told me to start this show, and that interacted with other Venom people, people who've done the Venom site, which was a place I was a fan of for years. And turns out I started chatting with the people that ran it and stuff, and meeting other people online that were big Venom fans and artists, and having interviews for this show. I mean, meeting Tom Hardy, just loving him as an actor and starting the show because of him. And I end up meeting him once and then watching the first movie with him in the theater with us, and then going on the set of the second movie. Like, I just never would have thought that was possible when I started episode 1 and I was sitting in my little apartment reacting to him training for the role of Venom. I never would have thought that was the end result of of all that. And I never would have thought we would have made 700 episodes. I've given up on so many things in my life. I fail a lot more than I succeed. And I just thought Venom vlog, I'm like, this will last 4 or 5 episodes and I'll get bored of it, or I won't care about it or whatever. I'll just forget. And here we are 4 years and like a week later and 700 episodes and look at all the stuff we've done together. I can't, it's crazy to me. What if Morbius is a side mission in Venom's? I would love Morbius to be in Spider-Man 2 as a side mission. That would be pretty neat. I've heard a theory about, and I mentioned this in one of my recent videos, I think, Sony's kind of doing a Marvel Monsterverse. Someone said that Venom was like a werewolf to them, but I think Sony has plans for Man-Wolf, possibly, which is J. Jonah Jameson's son, and that makes sense since they're putting J. Jonah Jameson in a lot of these movies as like a way to tie them together in the Daily Bugle. I imagine there's plans for John Jameson. I mean, he was in Venom 1 delivering the symbiote to Earth. So to me, I think John Jameson will be the werewolf. Venom is like I don't know, a Jekyll and Hyde or like a Frankenstein's monster or something. And then you have Morbius as Dracula, and you could have, like I said, Man-Wolf as the werewolf being, and then you could do Kraven as Von Helsing. He could kind of be the monster hunter of the group, and that could be really cool. That could be a way to make Kraven work in this universe without Spider-Man. And then maybe they can bring Spider-Man into, and that'll help out. I like to hear your personal life. It's interesting. That's nice of you to say. I don't find my personal life very interesting. I'm very much just, I like to go to work. And I like to do my job. I like to do good at my job. When I don't, you can ask my coworkers. I feel bad about it. I tell them, I'm sorry, my sales were down today. I'm sorry I couldn't close that deal or that sale. Like, I'll work harder next time. And I think because like I know so let's say for someone who's healthier than me, their 100% to give is here. And my 100% is probably their like 70%. So I know I have to really push myself to hit probably what they can do at 100%. And I keep trying to do that. And I don't know, some people said I set, unrealistic goals at times, but I don't think I do. I think I'm capable of these things. And it's hard to tell someone who literally went through physical therapy for 8 months to walk again, to talk, going through speech therapy. Like, these are all things I've done. It's really hard to tell me that I can't do something. Like, I will try. Like, nothing will stop me from trying. But that's all. I think that's the only thing that really makes me unique. Someone asked me recently, they're like, do you think anything makes you unique? And I said, I don't like to give up. I go, I guess that makes me a little unique, but I like to believe most people are like that too. When you really, want something that is like, a reasonable thing to want. Like me, I just want to make a living. Like I just want to be able to pay my bills and maybe tuck like $100 a month aside to like save for something, or have it to splurge if I want to buy like a statue or a toy and not feel guilty about it. Like, that's literally my life goal. I told my friend, I was like, I can live off of, like, right now I live off of like $1,600 a month between my 2 checks, roughly, maybe a little less than that actually. And my rent is $1,300. So, and then all my bills are included in rent except for my energy bill, which is usually around $80 for like a month. So I'm like, so for $1,400, I can kind of live my life and have, 150, 200 left over maybe on a good month to to like get groceries with and gas and stuff for Echo. So I barely get by, but I'm okay with that. I actually don't want more than that. I just want I want to earn what I work for, and that's it. So, but sometimes you need help, and so it's tough for me to ask. But recently I asked for help and people came to my rescue and helped me pay rent. And luckily after yesterday, I was able to pay them all back. So that was really nice. Venom will probably be in the post-credit scene. Oh, that'd be good. Yeah, just to tease that fight for Spider-Man. Yeah, I don't, like I said, I haven't followed any Spider-Man rumors or leaks, but I would assume if they're smart, that's what they would do. My top 5 favorite Spider-Man games: Edge of Time is number 1. Hulk Dummy says Miles Morales number 2, Shattered Dimension number 3, Amazing Spider-Man 2 as number 4, and Spider-Man 3 as number 5. Interesting. No friend or foe on there. I love Spider-Man Friend or Foe. That game's fun. That's got the Prowler in it. I think that was the first time you could play as the Prowler. I love Hobie Brown. Eddie's mullet. From what I've heard, if you like the Eternals comics, they retconned everything in the movies. Um, okay, so you're saying I might like the movie because it's nothing like the comic book. I see. Well, Guardians of the Galaxy kind of did that. I would say that it's not unlike the comic, but they added a flair to it that made the movie fun. So if this movie has flair, I guess I'll get into it. But I don't know. Guardians of the Galaxy was really unexpected for me. I was like, really? Those characters are going to make a movie about them? And I saw the trailer and I was like, oh, it looks like could be fun. I don't know. We'll see. But I like James Gunn. I'm a big fan of his trauma stuff and then some of his writing and movies like Slither, which I really like. So yeah, it turned out it was a good combination. My best friend's dad knows Tobey Maguire. Nice. Oh, awesome. Sweet. Toby. Yeah, I wish I could remember, but I used to work at Sony back when Spider-Man 3 came out. And if you go back on this show, you'll see I actually wrote a Spider-Man 4 script when I worked at Sony and sent it to Amy Pascal and a bunch of Sony producers. And it was Spider-Man versus the Lizard and Craven the Hunter. And I wrote it with two friends of mine, Ben and James. So I actually have a certificate from the Writers Guild of America, saying, hey, you wrote this and it's good for 5 years. And then I think we wrote it in 2007. So then 2013 came and they started making Amazing Spider-Man, right? With the lizard in it. And my friend was like, oh, they took some of our ideas. And I was like, well, or no, Ben didn't say that. Someone else did. They were like, oh, I read your script you gave me a while back. And it looks like they took some of your ideas from Amazing Spider-Man. I go, nah, because it's the lizard. We pulled from the comics and they probably pulled from the comics too. So I don't think any ideas were taken from our script. I don't even think they kept that script. They probably deleted it. It's your boy says excited for Resident Evil. Looks fun. It really does. Those last two trailers really perked me up on that movie. Thoughts on Moon Knight trailer? Still not sure about Oscar Isaac as Mark, but it looks like the show is going to be dealing with Moon Knight's mental issues, which I like. That does look neat. I just saw the teaser for that and She-Hulk, and they both look like they could be neat. Yeah, Moon Knight's interesting. I think he's a neat character. I've never been a big fan of his, but I do find him interesting when he's done well. So I'm curious. I like Oscar Isaac, but I didn't think he was a good Apocalypse. And Apocalypse that's a character I love way more than someone like Moon Knight. So for me, I'm not like, I don't really care who portrays Mark and does, plays Moon Knight, as long as I find the role interesting. So I guess we'll see. But the mental health, yeah, it did look like he's dealing with like schizophrenia or something. So we'll see how it goes. Venom Island was the horrible arc after Absolute Carnage. Okay, so that was the one. Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't know how that ended up on Tumblr, but awesome. Venom Island, a tree died for this dude. Oh, sorry if I was too loud. Venom Island, a tree died for this dude. All this comic resulted in a waste of time and the death of a tree. That was the only thing of yours I saw on Tumblr. Original poster said the comic made you incredibly pissed because you're normally very nice. I was curious what you would push such a nice person to be angry. Oh my God. Yeah, I think I did. I think I did have. It's tough, right? Because what you really try to do that's why I don't like to call myself a critic or a reviewer, really. I'm more like, I'm an editor. I edited comics. So like, I guess I think on that level where I'm like, I offer criticism, but I am kind of brutal. I mean, I've gotten scripts. You can ask my old boss, even Omar. He would give me a script for his comic book. And I'm like, dude, what is this? Your first comic? Like I get pretty, I want value for the reader. I see these things from a fan's point of view, but I also have I think a really sharp mind for storytelling. Now, not always. A lot of times it's just my opinion, and I would always tell people, I'm like, look, I'm going to give you strict feedback or tough love feedback, but it's just an opinion. If you strongly feel that this story needs to be told this way or that scene needs to be done that way, you are the boss. I mean, it's your name on the book. I want you to be happy, but at least hear me when I challenge you on this. And then tell me what you think of what I'm challenging with. And I would be surprised. A lot of people, I can't believe. So I used to do talent hunt things. So like when I worked at Top Cow, they had these talent hunt searches where they were looking for new writers and artists. And sometimes I'd have to be the one to email the people back. So I would group things. There'd be some people that I'm like, okay, all these people, they struggled with similar things. So I would send one email out to like 300 people that were all kind of like, so I grouped them all together. And that took a lot of work to do behind the scenes to group these like 300 together and send out a one email to get all of them. And then I would see them come back and go, Well, in this message forum, we're all talking about the feedback we got, and you sent me copy and pasted the same thing you sent him. And I'm like, yes, it's probably because I thought you two had similar, I was giving you similar notes. So why do that in separate emails when I could group you guys together? I had to go through like 20,000 people and email. Like it was a lot of emails I had to send. So to me, I was like, this is my job. This is what I got to do. I'm actually giving you more feedback than my boss told me to give you, but I felt like you deserve it because I used to be someone like you who wrote in and try to get a job writing comics. And now that I'm the person on the other side, I want to give you more than just a copy and paste thing that says, hey, thanks for your time. Appreciate your stuff. We looked at your story. They don't actually mention anything like specific to your story in it. It's just like a blanket thing. And in this one, I tried to at least go, okay, I can't mention every little detail in all your scripts. Because to be fair, I didn't read a lot of them too. My bosses did. We just split them up. So some of them I was emailing for scripts I didn't read, but those were the notes I was given. Okay, this person needs to work on dialogue. This person needs to work on pacing or whatever, you know. And so I would group them and send out these emails. So I've had people like try to crucify me and be like, you sent him the same thing. What a waste of time. You're a talentless hack. Why don't you take more time and take your job seriously? I'm like, dude, I put a lot of hours into that stuff and trying to be respectful to everybody. So I thought I was doing my job, but then I had other people years later say, hey man, you gave me some really tough feedback. And it made me look at this script that I've had for like 2 years that I could never sell to a comic company. I looked at your notes and I changed the things, even though I disagreed with them. And I got the book sold. And now I have a first issue. And here, I want to give you a copy. And I signed it for you as a thank you. And honestly, I'm like, I don't even remember your name. Like you were one of the 500 or 20,000 people I emailed that I gave feedback to. But I'm like, I'm glad that I said something that made you relook at your story and that now you're going to do a great job. And I go, but even still, I gave you my opinion, and you never have to agree with it. That's fine. But I think that really changed my perception on how to talk to people, was having that job. So there are times where, like I say, I try not to count myself as a reviewer. I like to say I'm a discusser, because sometimes I will get that mean and say things like that. And I try to keep things positive, but sometimes I am honest and I'm like, yeah, this pissed me off, because I feel like Donny Cates in particular, I feel like he has talent. He's like Brian Michael Bendis. Brian Michael Bendis has some real talent, but he rarely uses it. He knows how to I wouldn't even say phone it in. He's just like, all right, well, here's what I know needs to get done. And they just, here's a draft. And it's pretty good. So it's fine. It's a collaborative effort. The artist will probably add some things and whatever. And I feel like there's sometimes a little bit more work can be put in. And that's usually the time I get more critical, is when I can see potential and I don't feel like it's being met by the person's talent. And I think that's what drove me nuts about Donny Cates' run, much like a lot of runs of Brian Michael Bendis's that I've read. I'm like, I know this guy can write a badass book. So why the fuck isn't he doing it? You know? And, but that's, again, just my opinion. Doesn't mean I'm right. It's just my opinion. That was the only thing yours I saw on Tumblr. Yeah, that's funny though. Thank you. That's funny. Yeah, I was pissed off that a tree died for that comic though. What a waste of a beautiful tree. To be honest, I'm more excited for Venom 3 than No Way Home. Me too. Me too. It would have to be for Venom, because didn't Riot kill J. Jonah Jameson second? Venom, no, Riot did not. J. Jonah Jameson lives. There's the line of dialogue in Venom 1 when they go, oh, we have a survivor, and they put him on the I guess whatever it is, the ambulance, right? And then the suit bonds to the medic inside and causes a crash. But they never say that John Jameson is dead. So I guess you could say he can wake up from a coma, or whatever. Like he could still be alive out there. I would imagine if J. Jonah Jameson is on TV still screaming at people, his son's probably alive. So I don't know. We'll see. Hey, what's up? How you doing? How's Echo? I'm doing okay. LOL. Echo is good. He went under the bed, but he's actually eating a little bit earlier on stream, and so yeah, he's getting there, man. I think in a couple days we'll see. They said if he doesn't change mood wise or energy wise by Tuesday, to bring him back in. But so far I've seen an improvement tonight. So, and I think I'm going to bring him to work with me tomorrow if he keeps improving. If he's still kind of iffy, I might leave him here so he can kind of grow, or build up energy on his own while he's in the home or in the house by himself. He might like that alone time. He might get overwhelmed if I bring him to work. And I was originally planning to bring him to work tomorrow to keep an eye on him, but I might not now. So we'll see. But if he keeps getting better, we'll see. Maybe I'll bring him next week when he's hopefully fully recovered. I like where you're going with this. Carnage is Dio then. What's up, Jazz Carnage? Okay, yeah, there you go with my comparisons. Craven Helsing, that's right. Oh, wow, Sony just stealing Universal's Dark Universe concept? Well, Dark Universe was DOA, so maybe Sony can do something. Well, technically, they're already building something. So, yeah, as long as Morbius is a hit, I think they'll make it work. Imagine we get Tom Hardy's Venom and Tom Holland's Spider-Man against Anti-Venom. I want to see Anti-Venom. So that means they need to bring in Mr. Negative, and I want to see that too because I like that character. Yeah. Actually, Eddie asks, can we find your script in the Sony email? The Sony email leaks. You probably can. I have not bothered to look for them, but you probably can. We wrote the script in like 2007, about 3 months after the Spider-Man 3 movie came out. And at that point, I don't think Sam Raimi, if he was sure he was going to direct or not, but Sony was adamant about making a 4th movie, and they were looking for scripts, I think. So we were one of many. I don't know. Ours were emailed to Amy Pascal and other people, but I don't know if they actually read them or if their assistants did. I think I handed one to her assistant at that time. Really nice kid who was just, I don't know, just always nice to me when I worked at Sony. So I handed him a script and he's like, yeah, I'll bring it to her. And I don't know if he ever did or not. You never know. But yeah, I think so. I think we should be, because I think the leaks are from 2007 or 2006 to 2008. And 2007 to 8 is when I worked there. So probably we'll find them there. What's up, Twisty? I did like your custom Carnage. Absolutely. Twisty's art on Instagram. I made a custom Carnage figure and it looks dope as shit. It's really cool looking. Make a good point. I hope that he's alive. Man Wolf would be awesome in live action. Yeah, and there you go. Then you got your werewolf character there. Venom can be your Jekyll and Hyde or whatever you want to call him. Then you got Morbius as your vampire, and you got Craven as your Von Helsing. The only downside is that's like 4 white guys. So not very diverse group for today's day and age, but whatever, they'll make it work. So we'll see what Sony does with that. They're also still trying to build their Ghostbuster world, so maybe they'll have some luck with that now that they got Paul Rudd in it. That new Ghostbuster looks pretty. I'm not a huge Ghostbusters fan, but that new movie looks pretty interesting. So too bad Sony doesn't have Punisher rights. We would have Franken Punisher from the comics. Dang, that's sick. That's true. We would have. That's cool. I would have accepted that. I don't think I've even read Franken-Castle, but I own it digitally. It was on sale for $3.99, the whole thing in one volume. Hey, Fillmore Antidote, what's up? What's up, y'all? How you been, Seek? I'm hanging in there, dude. Hanging in there. Hope we get something on the Silk series. Oh yeah. Well, they're starting to announce some cartoons that they've been. Well, I don't know if they hinted at X-Men, but I had heard that was going to be coming back, but I wasn't sure if that was true or not. So I'm glad I kept my mouth shut on that, because I felt like I would have been really embarrassed. Remember, I was starting to do an X-Men show on this channel a year ago. That's how long I've heard that they might bring back the animated series. And man, so I don't know, maybe when that I own all the shows on DVD, all the seasons. So maybe when that show gets closer, maybe we'll do maybe I'll rewatch those old shows and we'll do commentaries or something. I have a little theory where there is a world where Venom is lost. Oh, okay. Yeah, Disney Plus, they announced it yesterday. Yeah, they announced a lot of stuff yesterday. Holy cow. Like I said, I missed out on a lot of stuff. So last night, after Echo, we got home, I looked at the app, on my phone, the Disney Plus app, and I was it was Disney Plus Day editions, and then they said announcements, and so I was oh, so I clicked on this one video. It was 15 minutes long, and it was it showed you all the Disney Plus shows and the history of Marvel leading up to Moon Knight and She-Hulk, and they showed little teasers for those shows at the end. And then I saw on Instagram they announced a shit ton of shows. I was oh my god, that's a lot of stuff. But for me, Spider-Man freshman year, I'm really, do we need another freshman year? Oh, good. So we're gonna, whatever. I don't know. I'm not super excited about that new Spider-Man cartoon, but X-Men 97, I'm super excited about. But I feel every Spider-Man cartoon is Peter Parker when he's a freshman and he gets bit by the spider and his Uncle Ben dies. And I guess now we get the definitive Marvel version of that. So we can see that origin through the Marvel Universe lens, but which means you'll probably see cameos of Iron Man and Captain America and stuff as animated, but I'm not really pumped for that one. I'm definitely excited for X-Men. though, for sure. Do you want to hear my idea for Spider-Man versus Venom in Spider-Man 3? Sure, if you want. I'm hearing Sony's planning to bring in the King of the Symbiotes. Yeah, with the what's that? Null. I don't know. Some people were saying that they were like, oh well, they thank Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman in the new Venom movie. But I'm like, yeah. But then if you go and like watch the interview with Tom Hardy and they mention Grendel, he thinks they say Grundle, like taint. So he's like, what? There's a symbiote named Grundle. He's like, we got to put him in the next movie. And they're like, no, Grendel. And he's like, oh, Grendel, like Beowulf? They're like, whatever. They're like, Grundle will be in the next movie, but Grendel, we don't know who that is. So I'm like, oh, yeah. So him and Andy Serkis, they clearly don't know what that is. So a special thanks in the movie could be for a bunch of reasons. It could just be because Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman were writing the comic at the time. And so sometimes someone will, reach out to them and say, hey, we're pulling something from your run. So like the hive, I think they mentioned the hive mind at the end, or like I have access to like all these. Eddie's mullet was telling me about it, about the it can see the universe and it can share that knowledge with Eddie and stuff, and it's connected to a hive mind. Obviously, in the first Venom movie, I've always said this: they were sent to Earth by somebody. Riot was a team leader. There was a scene that was cut from the movie that showed Riot and Venom and the other symbiotes, um, hurtling on an asteroid towards Earth, looking for another world, so they can report back to whoever sent them. So Riot was the team leader, which is why he was the deadliest out of all of them, and why he's the one that survived, other than Venom. Um, and even though it found hosts that weren't perfect, I guess. So I don't know. So someone had to send them. Someone sent them to Earth for some reason. So eventually, that someone is going to come to Earth looking for their symbiotes. So I imagine that's when we'll get Null, or whatever version of Null they do. I hate seeing Spider-Man High School. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it either. Like, I've seen it a billion times. I'm not stoked for that one. Grendel. Did somebody say Grendel? What's up, Grendel? Yeah, we said Grendel, not Grundle. Can't wait for Grundle, Gooch, and Taint symbiotes in the next movie. Yeah. Not that Grendel. Yeah. Hey, Seek, what's up? How's it going? Good to see you. Good to see you. Twisty says, is it like Leggin? Leggin wait. Leggin wait for it. Hey, what's up? Twisty's Art says, what am I saying? Is that where they bring back Carnage, where there's a world where Venom lost and died? And I see. No, Carnage isn't dead. I talked about this on my review, I think. Carnage isn't dead. Carnage was eaten by Venom. That happened in the comics. So like, to me, I'm like, Carnage is probably still in there. I thought it'd be cool if when he meets Spider-Man and they fight, if the Carnage symbiote somehow comes out and bonds to Spider-Man and we get Spider Carnage versus Venom. I would love that. But that would be if I wrote the movie, not if Sony and them wrote the movie. So we'll see. I don't know, but yeah, that'd be great. Spider Carnage would be great. But a Carnage, to me, the Cletus is gone, but the suit I feel like is still in there somewhere, and that could be something that Null activates. Maybe that's why they had Venom eat it, because they're like, okay, it's there, and if we want to tell that story and bring Carnage back, we can, and if we don't, we can just say the suit ate it and digested it or whatever. So to me, I feel like it's like a best of both worlds. Like, it can be a seed for a future story, or it can be just the end of that story. So until we know what direction they go with, I would say Carnage is not dead. It's like Schrodinger's cat. He's alive and dead until they make the third movie and tell the story they want to do. But that's how they bring Carnage back. That could be. I was going to make a joke about Null showing up as a big cloud like Galactus in Silver Surfer movie, but I'd legit prefer that over the comic version of Null. Yeah, true. Where Null just looks like a Castlevania villain. So my idea for Spider-Man vs. Venom is that the spell to erase everyone's mind of Peter, Spider-Man works, but doesn't work for multiverse entities. Venom goes to Peter because he sent Spider-Man. Oh, yeah, there you go. I know you got more coming, so I'll wait for that. Totally randomish, but I feel more into it. It says, I just recently purchased I Spy a Venom's new Venom fan guide book. Not sure if you've seen it yet. He kept me updated on all hard work he put into it. No, what? I Spy a Symbiote on Instagram has a book. I didn't even see that. Would you mind either on Instagram or email, like sending me a link to it? Maybe I'll check out a copy of it and do an episode on it for him. That would be awesome. Yeah. Yeah, let me know. That's cool. I didn't know. Yeah, I Spy a Symbiote has this great thing they do on Instagram. If you haven't checked out their page, I mentioned it on the show before, I think like 2 or 3 times, but there's they make these newspapers, like they like Photoshop these Daily Bugle type newspapers at the end of every week, and they go, okay, everyone, this is all the Venom stuff we got this week. So they'll have like a little article there, and they'll have an image. Then you swipe to get to the next page, and it'll show like all the variant covers that they do Venom or symbiote variants. And then you swipe again, it's like, oh, here's Venom in an alternate universe story in this other book, and or here's Scream, whatever. And it's so cool. I love it so much. Like, what a cool creative thing. And Fillmore Antidote, if you haven't checked out Fillmore Antidote's page on Instagram, also do it, because I know I've said it a bunch of times, but like everything. There's actually, I was flipping through your page the other day, and I realized that or maybe it was a week ago now, but I realized I wasn't even liking stuff, which is dumb. I was like, I need to go back and like some of those, because I think I was just looking through and blown away. Like, I never even heard of this. Like, I never even seen this before. I never even heard of this thing happening on the set, or I never heard of this, or I never saw this thing happening, or saw this drawing before, or saw this concept art. And I never saw these. Like, I think today you posted things that are being sold now in Japan to promote Venom, because Venom comes out on December 3rd or first week of December in Japan. So it's not even out in most countries yet. It already passed $200 million right now domestically in the US. And it's the second movie to do that during the pandemic, only the second. So Venom is still doing well, and it still hasn't even released in like a third of the places it's supposed to release. And we still don't have a China release date. So if that movie actually released in China, I don't think it's gonna, but if it did, it would probably tack on another $150 million, and it would soar up there. Right now, I think it's floating near the $450 million range. And like I said, it might end around 500 million, but if it still has a lot of territories to open up in, it could go past 500 million, but it would definitely go past 600 or 700 if it got a release in China. And I understand that that's not as good as the first movie, but dang, that is still really, really good for a movie that cost $100 million to make. So still good in my mind. And so the movie has legs, and it's still climbing, and it's still breaking records in like different countries like Russia, India, like #1 movie. If you saw, they did this cool thing on the Burj Khalifa, the building, like one of the tallest buildings in the world, or is the tallest, in India. And they put Andy Serkis on screen and showed the trailer across the building. It's so cool. They really went out on marketing on that one. But because they did that, it pushed it big in these other territories and countries around the world, and the movie did really well over there. So it was worth every penny of marketing for that. VCX, the comic version, Noel looks like a Castlevania villain. Noel looks like a Castlevania mini boss with no plot. Yeah, he does. That's exactly it. He's not Dracula, because Dracula has a much richer and deeper story and backstory than Noel does. But yeah, you're right. Noel's like a mid boss where you're just like, why is he powerful for no reason? And he just is. You just deal with it. 3, Venom died, and all symbiotes just hate Spider-Man, and they fight for a bit, and then somehow Peter finds out Venom's weakness and uses it to symbiote detach from Eddie and onto Peter. But I'm planning on but Carnage has bonded with Cletus inside of Venom, and they are now one entity, like in the comics. So he has Cletus's personality. The symbiote goes back to Eddie. Venom and Spider-Man have to team up. I mean, that's good. And that's pretty standard. Like, it's a pretty standard outline. So you might see something similar to that. You could be on to something there. Grendel says Heresy. Noel first showed up on the Michael Moorcock books, not Castlevania. There you go. That's true. Sorry for the heresy. I'm sorry. I will be burned at the stake. I'm planning on making a comic of my own fan-made symbiotes, like a fan comic or something, but I don't know if people will like it. Can get your opinion. Hell yeah, man. By the way, if you guys haven't seen Twisty's art, check it out. And I don't know if Twisty does commissions or anything, but if you look on the episodes on the Venom vlog for the next 20 or so episodes, I'm going to put the Sleeper image that Twisty did of me turning into Sleeper. I'm going to put that as our little cube box. Like, you know how comic books have those? I used to do those on the Venom vlog, and I haven't done them in a while. I've been doing the PNG, faces, just the heads. And I was like, let's go back to the old rectangles for a little bit, just for fun, since I got this art from Twisty. So, yeah, I hope that was a nice surprise for you, Twisty. So you'll see more of that. But if you like those images and stuff, please go check out Twisty's Instagram. And if Twisty's taking commissions, get a drawing. I saw Twisty do one of Bruce as Anti-Venom, which was really cool. Our friend Bruce. Oh yeah, so I read that already. It's your boy. I have an idea for Amazing Spider-Man 3 with Vulture, Craven, Mary Jane, and Eddie Brock cameo. Oh, okay, nice. What is it? Hit us. I got about another 20 minutes, and then I got to call it a night. So go ahead and drop your Venom stuff on me. I'd absolutely love a fan-made book focused on different symbiotes other than Venom, like a spiritual sequel to the premises from Extreme Carnage. There you go. Like, what did they do? They do those guidebooks. They did one for King in Black where they went through and explained all these characters. Maybe they can do one now with all the symbiotes, including Mark, right? Like Flash Thompson's friend. I think he's the newest sleeper host. So yeah, we'll see. All right. So while the Venom stuff's coming in too. So again, we'll keep Venom vlog going till episode 750. That'll be the last episode of season 5. We will do a season 6, but I just won't be pumping out as many episodes. I won't be covering the new Venom comic. There won't be a lot of old stuff to cover by that point anyway. So we don't have a lot of backlog stuff to go through. But anytime news comes out for the video game, which probably isn't even going to drop until 2023 or later. So we got time before we even get anything from the video game. So you won't see a lot of Venom stuff. I will do Midnight Sun stuff, not as much as I was planning, but you will see some of it with on the Highway to Hell show leading up to the release of the Midnight Suns video game. But after the Midnight Suns video game, I probably will end that show most likely. Seek NR DC stuff. I know I have people that like watching some of my DC stuff. I certainly am a bigger DC fan than I am a Marvel fan, but I know not a lot of people like that stuff, but I still will try to make some of that stuff from time to time when I can. I think I go back and forth. I think the memory thing hurts, like, because I'll forget plans. Like, I'll make plans, write them down, and then I'll see them with a clear head that I don't remember those plans, and I'll go, well, that doesn't sound like a good plan, or that doesn't sound like a show I want to do. And I go back and forth all the time. So if you see me change my mind a lot, like a schizo, it's because like I kind of like am forgetting things. So I'm trying really hard to like focus on this Halo idea. Halo has this phrase called the Great Journey, which is kind of used by the bad guys, and it's a little cultish. So I don't want to really adopt it for that reason. But I was just thinking about how life can be a great journey, and then kind of going in that along that mindset. I also thought about calling the show The Cure for Rampancy, because in Halo, rampancy is when AIs start losing their mind, artificial intelligences, when they start losing their mind, which they usually do after 4 years. And I felt a little similarity there about, losing my memories and stuff. So I thought about calling the show The Cure for Rampancy. Maybe we'll do a vote to see what people think, but I already recorded the first few episodes as The Great Journey. But I won't put a title on the thumbnails just in case we change the name later. But I'll at least intro the show as The Great Journey for a little while. But if you think Cure for Rampancy is a better title, then maybe we'll change it up. Because Venom Vlog had 2 titles when it started too. I thought that was funny. We called it the Venom Vlog or Spitting Venom, and it was like back and forth. Like, some episodes were called Spitting Venom, some were Venom Vlog, and I just kept the numbering going. But in the beginning, we were both kind of. So I, like I said, because I was 35 when I started this and really into comics, it was fun doing the show and really into the Venom movie and stuff. And I still will be if they do a Venom 3 and on all the stuff that comes after this. We will still talk about it, just not as often and not to the detail we have before. But me, I just have different conversations now. Like like I said, human beings interest me, and I want to know like about you guys. Like I want on some level, like I want to present something like work ethic or something like integrity. Like, what does it mean to have integrity to you? And having these like little 10-15 minute conversations that where we talk about a big topic, but that'll just be for one episode. Just when I feel like the mood strikes, and having a deep conversation about something or an attempt at a deep conversation, the best I can do. But then the next episode be like, all right, here's 15 minutes of my Halo Reach playthrough and me talking over it about what I like about Reach. And then after that, here's me reviewing Halo Reach, the Fall of Reach, or Halo, the Fall of Reach comic book, Boot Camp #1. And here's a review of that. And okay, here's the Wave 1 Jazzwares figures. Not really a toy review, but just a look at the toys from Wave 1 and Wave 2 and 3 and so on and so forth of the Jazzwares toys. And then, here's some footage of me playing the tech demo. And here's a 2-minute episode of me playing Capture the Flag on the Halo Infinite tech demo that I did a month ago. And I had all that footage and I did nothing with it. I'm like, I went through it all recently and edited it all. So here's 2 minutes of me just running to the enemy base, grabbing the flag and making it back in time. Really quick episode. So just a little bit of a variety, little thing like that, basing it in Halo. and just trying something different. I think I saw someone being criticized recently about doing the same thing and not really growing as a person. And I thought about that. I'm like, yeah, I feel like I've grown a lot, but I still do the Venom vlog, which I like doing, but I'm kind of at the point where I've said everything about this character, and now I want to talk about things that I find of interest. I really do find human behavior very interesting. When people scream at each other, why do they scream? We had a guy try to steal something from us at Harley recently, and I stopped him. Why did he try to steal? I still can't figure it out. And he was older. He was like almost 60, and you were like, well, wouldn't someone that age like know better? Like, so I don't know. There's just like these things that happen in the real world that I find interesting. And I'm not here to like talk about controversial topics or political things, but just like something a human does. I'm like, well, that's interesting. Why do they do that? Let's talk about it. And let's talk about it while some Halo footage is playing in the background. So, and my plan was to make a show that was 15 minutes long or less, because usually when I get a break for work, it's 15 minutes. So I figured, oh, if I do something shorter than 15 minutes, then, or at the most 15 minutes, someone can listen to it on their lunch breaks or breaks at work. So trying to make it digestible and easy. So I don't know if that's something you're interested in. Let me know. I'm gonna do it anyway for a while at least. But I'm really curious to see the response, because it is different. You know, it's a video game, which I have a whole video game channel, so you would think I'd put it over there. But I feel like some of the conversations I'll have are still worth having with this audience, because I think not only am I 4 years older, but a lot of you are too if you've been here since the beginning. So I think it'll be fun. Let me see. Oh, wow, I got to catch up. All right, let me catch up on these, and we'll wrap it up here. I'd absolutely okay. Yeah, fan made. That handbook was the best part of King in Black. It really was, Cam. It really was. The film picks off 2 months after Amazing Spider-Man 2. Peter's in the third year of college. Harry Osborn was broke out of prison, and Harry meet up with Felicia, who is in Black Cat costume. Okay. So you got a Andrew Garfield third movie. Okay, sweet. Did you read New Venom #1? Of course not. I didn't even know it was out. I think I saw someone post a variant on Instagram the other day, and I thought, oh, is that coming out soon? And then it was like, oh no, it was out. I'm like, oh, I have no idea. Yeah, no. I'm reading. The only thing I'm reading right now is Spawn, and then I've been reading the Ben Reilly Spider-Man stuff. But I didn't even pick up this week's issue of that. I think a new one came out on Wednesday, and I'm already like a couple days behind on that one. Yeah, I don't really, like I said, comics over the last 4 years, I think I've kind of really pulled away. The thing is like, so writing comics, working in comics, all this stuff, I said this before on my stream, those were the goals and dreams of the version of me before my brain aneurysm, and before I was 28 years old, before I had my aneurysm. So after that, I woke up kind of with a blank slate. I didn't remember who I was. I didn't remember my mom, my brother, my family. I didn't remember most things, talking, walking. So I literally was like brand new almost, although I had knowledge of things at times. Like I'd be like, so if someone said Peter Parker was Spider-Man to me, that wasn't like a mind-blowing thing. I kind of knew what they were talking about. So there was still something there, right? But it wasn't like memories, like the way memories are tethered to emotions usually. Like you remember something that happened and it had an impact on you emotionally. I don't have really that. I don't have a visual memory. So when I close my eyes, I don't see anything. There was a time where I felt I was, but I think it was the medication I was on that just kind of made my head feel weird. So I don't really have that really. But what I learned about myself was that I was someone who was working their way into the comic industry and the movie industry. And all I wanted to do was finish. Like, I didn't know how many more years I'd be alive, considering I was just walking and went to dinner and my head hurt and I complained about it. And then I just dropped to the ground. And then I woke up and some time had passed, like a week and a half or something, like it was a while. I'd woke up and they were like, you had a brain aneurysm a while ago and you're just now coming, like you were in a medically induced coma and now you're coming out of it. Like, so I was like, who was I before? And I looked into that and I kept journals and I took photos of movie sets I worked on that aren't allowed to see the light of day because I probably signed non-disclosure agreements. But I would try to take pictures of things that didn't matter, not of the set, but like of a chair or something like that, something that wouldn't get me in trouble. And I have all these journals that I wrote stuff in. On this day, I worked on this movie set. On this day, I worked on this TV show. And on this day, I pitched something, or I went to Marvel and I pitched this or whatever. And I was very active in the world of comic books. And so I thought, well, I should probably keep doing that and try to reach the goal of this person I was before. But I'm not that person. Like after working in comics all these years and paying attention to story and all these things, I still have I guess maybe the natural talent that I had, and I was trying to grow it and make it better and be better at it. But like I realized I didn't love it as much, and that's why I left comics and just went and worked a retail job at Lego, starting at the bottom. I went from a full-time job editing comic books and just quit right before Comic-Con too. And then I went to Comic-Con and said, this is my first Comic-Con going where I'm not signing comics in, like, however many years, like 6 or 7 years since my aneurysm. And I'm like, I'm going as a fan. And I went with my friend Alex and I had a blast. My friend Kevin too. And we had a blast. And so to me, I was like, after that, I was like, I want to only do things for me. But at that point, I'd already started King of Neverland, and that project kept growing and getting bigger. So I kind of concluded that King of Neverland would be the last thing I write. And technically it will be, because even though I'm working on House of Ghosts right now, and I wrote the independent film that's going to be filmed next year, that I shared the script for, about someone who's developing dementia. Someone reached out to me and said, I would love to direct this. I'm going to help. We're going to raise some money to make it. And we're going to go film it like in early next year. That will still probably be done before I finish editing book 3 of Neverland. So Neverland will still be the last thing I write, but that will be it. I don't want to pursue the dreams of the young man I was when I was 28, when I was working myself to death on movie sets, which eventually led to me, health-wise falling apart and having an aneurysm rupture. So like, I'm just not that person anymore. That guy, I feel comfortable now saying that guy died in 2008, 2010, 2010. I feel comfortable saying he died, and I'm now someone else trying to figure out what to do. And I found this. I really like doing this. I think Dan Harmon kind of brought it out of me, and my friend Gene Hoyle did when I used to do a show called Nerd Nation with him, Nerd Nation Radio, and we did that podcast for like 2.5 years, every week for like 2.5 years, and that to me made me realize I like talking to people, and that's why I went to get a retail job so I could be around people. And I hear about their lives. We get so many cool people that come into Harley and they tell me about their lives, and there are people that come in that are like, I would probably never agree with them when it comes to anything like either political or any kind of social thing or whatever, but they're decent. People are decent, for the most part. Of course, people hide behind a version of themselves, or they lie or whatever, but sometimes you get people that open up, and I've met some really cool people at Harley Davidson, just like I did when I worked at Lego. And that's what I like. I found the thing that gets me through the day is talking to people. And that's way more rewarding to me than writing stuff. So Neverland will be it. That'll be it. And then I'll move on with my life from there. What is this? Is that a $10 donation? Holy crap. Hey, Seek, not sure if you'll agree with me on this in sentiment, but I've always found Venom as a villain antagonist me more interesting than an anti-hero. Fuzzy Nuts. I love your name and your image. Dude, well, first of all, thank you for $10. That's amazing. You and Mike both with the donations tonight. That's more than I think I deserve, and very awesome of you to do that. And I know there's a lot of people that see Venom as a villain, as an antagonist, because that's what he started as, right? And it makes sense after reading the Black Costume Saga again and seeing that really the suit didn't really wrong Peter in a way that the animated series portrayed it as, where it was like an aggressive, pushed his aggression levels higher. It just was someone who was trying to help Peter by helping him fight crime at night when he was sleeping. But he would wake up feeling sore, like, and he's like, "Wow, what is I swinging all night? Did the rhino punch me? Like, what are all these things?" So, having seen that, and then Peter separates from it after he learns it's alive, the suit feels really hurt, and it goes and finds someone else who's been hurt by Spider-Man, and it finds Eddie, and they really are very villainous. They go after Mary Jane, and they hint that they're going to hurt Aunt May if Peter doesn't confront them. So a lot of people feel that way, and even if though I see, the thing is, I don't disagree with you. That is Venom, like when he first started, but to me, it's like Batman. When Batman first started, he was a lot more violent than he is. Well, he's still kind of violent, but he's not like shooting people and stuff. So, what's the ideal version of Venom? I would say it's the anti-hero version because most people think of him from Lethal Protector onward as like an anti-hero. And obviously, with the movies, that's just going to help that even further. But there are people that just think of him as a villain, and that's fine. Like no version is wrong in my opinion. So I don't disagree with you. Actually, I think you are right. He was a villain at one point and still is sometimes based on certain interpretations. I think that's why I kind of like Dark Origin a little bit because he is a little bit more villainous there, and you just don't really see that a lot. And I don't mind that take either. But for me, like it's like Batman. Like has Batman killed? Yes, but does Batman kill frequently every week in comics? No, he's not the Punisher. So that's kind of how I feel about Venom. Like he's an anti-hero every week in the comics, and he was a villain for a very short time. But I don't think that makes your opinion wrong at all. And your $10 means a lot to me. So thank you very much for that. You and Mike, I'll take that $15 and I will do something very nice for Echo because he's been a good boy and he's been through it this past couple days. And I will get a treat for him when that money comes in for sure. It absolutely was, Cam. Yeah, it was a good. The King in Black thing was good. They seem to have dropped the idea of Sleeper having a host on the Al Ewing run. He's now on his cat form again. Yeah, because why would Al Ewing read a comic book unless he wrote it? Yeah, I'm not actually. I like that Hulk run a little bit, but I'm not a big Al Ewing fan. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to read the new Venom book at all. Hulk Dummy says with Craven and Harry meets an old colleague. It was Father Adrian, played by Mark Strong, to recruit him for. Oh, Mark Strong. I love him as an actor. He's great. He's already been a Shazam villain and a Green Lantern villain. So, and what's that one? Kingsman? Isn't that a comic book too? So yeah, he's everywhere, man. That guy's everywhere. His father's okay. No problem. Gotcha now. It reads like Al Ewing had no knowledge of the Extreme Carnage mini. Oh, really? Who edited that? I don't. I won't say his name. I know who edited that. This AI is called Seek. Be careful, it's gone rampant. Really, it seems docile enough. Its rampancy just makes it forget things. Still can't be too careful. Yeah, there you go. Oh, you like the idea of film? Oh, that's nice of you. Yeah, I never know. Like it's such a. It's not a huge departure, I guess, from what we do with Venom Vlog, but it is different. It's a different world. It's sci-fi a little bit, but Venom is very grounded. Halo grounds itself by looking at this big universe expanding thing through the lens of the military. That's what I really like about Halo. It's kind of like Starship Troopers, only probably a little less campy. But Starship Troopers was all about the propaganda of being indoctrinated into the military and having that mindset of dying for your country and having a belief like that and self-sacrifice and stuff. And there's a little bit of that in Halo, but I feel like Master Chief has kind of evolved past that too. He reminds me a lot of Captain America. He's a guy who kind of follows orders in the beginning, but then the orders start coming in that he doesn't agree with. And then there's personal stakes. He starts feeling for Cortana, his team, and other people around him. And so he's not just a machine. And I love that line in Halo 4, I think, at the end, after they think Cortana's dead. Spoilers, I guess. They think she's dead. And Master Chief and Lasky are standing next to each other. And Lasky says something like, Chief, I don't want to even pretend like I know what you're going through. But Lasky kind of does too. He lost a really close friend when he was in the academy in Forward Unto Dawn, the animated or the live action movie. So I think he does know about loss and sacrifice because Lasky, I love that character. He's joined the military, but he has an allergy to the cryo freezing, which you need to do in the military because you got to do space travel. So you have to go long distances that take years to get through on a spaceship without warp drives or without doing jumps and everything. But still, you could be in that thing for years, and they don't want you to age, right? They want you to be in that same physical form that you were. So he gets cryo frozen to go on a jump in training, and he has an allergy to it, and it's killing him. It's affecting his breathing and everything. And his commanding officer says, "Well, you're a good soldier. You have a lead. There's a leader inside of you. I know it, but you do have this allergy. So if you want to leave the military, if you don't feel like this is the life for you, you can leave." Or you can probably risk dying, but at least go on a few missions where you save people or something. She kind of gives him a spiel like that, and and he decides that he's still going to do it. So when you see him as a kid in the training academy, and then after he loses his friends and he's in Halo 4 as an adult, he still has the scars on his chest from the cryo, and he's even getting back in his cryo tube. He's like, and he's wearing the dog tags of all of his friends that died on his planet when he was at Corbulo. But there's that scene where him and Master Chief are talking, and he says, the military want us to be machines, but we're not. And he goes, in the way you say you want to help humanity, you say it in a way like you're not a part of humanity, but you are. You're a human just like the rest of us. And he's like, I just thought you should know that, if you don't already are aware of that, like you should know that you're not just a machine, you are a man. And that's what Cortana liked about you. And that's what we like about you, because you're willing to sacrifice so much, and you have, so all of us can, continue to live and fight this fight. And I love that interaction between the two of them, these two guys that probably have a lot more in common than they think. But he's right. Sometimes we talk about humanity and we don't include ourselves. And I think that's a great thing to kind of be the backdrop of this new Halo show idea. So I hope we'll try it for a while, and we'll see if you guys like. But audio logs are easier for me right now. I don't have a light. I just have the light of the screen shining on my face. It's not as intrusive. Me, I have that circle light and stuff, and it bothers my head and stuff. So I think the Halo episodes will just be footage of the gameplay and audio logs. I'll just do like 15-minute episodes where you just hear my voice, so I can use this cool mic and stuff. So it'll be a different show. But occasionally I'll make episodes where you see my face, just so I'm still fat and ugly. Peter walked into Oscorp and he looks at what Harry planning, and he runs in a symbiote. It's calling to him, and he picks it up. I share everything else in a live stream. Okay, that's pretty good, man. I like that too. You guys have got some good ideas. Hey, what's up, Danny? How's it going? And Fuzzy Nuts, thank you again. This is amazing. Like you and Mike Z, like thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. And like I said, I love your name, and that's okay. And even if we don't agree, but the thing is, I do agree with you. Venom was a villain at one point and an antagonist, and he still can work that way. I feel like if they told a story, I'm going to do a story coming up where it's Spider-Man and Red Sonja team up and they fight Venom and Kuma something, the bad guy from Savage Avengers. And this is an old book. This is from like 10 years ago or something. But Venom is very much an antagonist in that one. So that'll be fun. Well, that episode will be for you, my friend. Man, that is a trip. Some guy worked himself to death. Now here I am in his busted body. I don't know how else to describe the last 10 years for me, but it does feel like that sometimes. It was really bad in the beginning. I felt like I was like piloting this like mecha like that. I was like, I don't know how to get the arms to move. I don't know how to get the legs to move. I don't know how to get the words out. Funny enough, soon after I was able to at least write a couple things down and type a few things. So I was pretty good with that, which was nice. So I didn't there was still a lot of muscle memory, things of just like, you don't think about I train myself to muscle memory now. Like at work, I have things I got to do at work where I'm on the computer and I won't remember. The more I think about it, the less likely I'll get it done, and I'll have to ask for help. But if I just go over and try not to think and I just let my hands go, I might actually, in most cases, I do it. I'm just like typing it up and I go, oh, that's, and then I don't, I just take a deep breath. I go, don't think about it. Just let your fingers do what they remember doing. And so there's a lot of things I try to commit to muscle memory now, which is not easy to do sometimes. And I'm not very good at it, but I'm working on it. But it is like that sometimes. I feel like I don't think I did this publicly or put it on Instagram, or I certainly didn't make a YouTube video about it. But I had a night where I think it was on one of my anniversaries, which I don't really celebrate my anniversaries. That's that's the anniversary of your aneurysm is what they call that. And I think I didn't want it's not morbid, or maybe it will be to some of you. I didn't have like a eulogy for me, but I think I sat and just kind of said goodbye in a way. Like I was like, I got to stop being this guy. Neverland, I'm getting notes from these editors, and I thought this was it. These are the last notes I'm going to get. We're ready to put the book out, and I'm still probably going to put it out, but there's parts of the book that I think are going to suck, and I'm trying to do my best. I think I was good at editing and kind of seeing what's already there and building off of that and giving ideas and suggestions, but writing is a different animal, and I don't think I'm a very good writer at times, and I think it's because I'm not the writer. He was. And so I did kind of have a night where in my way, said goodbye. I could never do that to my mom or my brother because I feel like that would be really hard for my mom to just think of me like that. It was kind of like that in the beginning when I didn't really remember her and have any memories of her, which I still really don't. I think they did think that, like that, oh my God, my son is dead and this is not my son anymore. And there was a little bit of that. But for the most part, I sound like me and have, I guess, some mannerisms. So it does feel like that though sometimes, where I'm like, I'm not him, and I got to stop trying to be him. I think I found my thing. People. I like talking to people, so I have a job where I get to do that all day, and I got this where I can come home to and do. And so to me, I'm happy in that regard because that's what I want to do with my life. I want to talk to people, and I get to do that every day. I'm like super lucky, right? Superior Venom, hey, howdy, it's been long. Everything okay? Everything is good, man. Thanks for being here. Hope you're doing well. And yeah, actually, I put your name on the board. I do an intro now on the show. I have a Peter Parker intro for the Black Costume episodes, but I have another one called the Viewer Thank You intro, and it has your name on there, Superior Venom, because I think you donated like $20 a couple months ago, and I think I just thanked you on the stream, but what I did was I added your name to this list, and I will try to do that for Fuzzy Nuts. That'll be fun to write that on the board. Fuzzy Nuts and Mike. Mike's already on the list, so I'll have to write down Fuzzy. Let me set a reminder on my phone. I have to add Fuzzy Nuts to my board. Okay, let's see. Where do I go for notes? Here we go. Work note. No, not work notes. YouTube notes. There we go. Yep. Add Fuzzy Nuts to donation board. Cool. All right, you're in there, Fuzzy Nuts. Let me save that. Cool. Saved. I'm fairly certain I'm just qualified as Devin Lewis to be an editor on comics. Here's the thing, and to be completely fair to Devin Lewis, there's a lot of things editing for a company the size of Marvel that I probably don't know Devin's, I'm going to say, is the expert on it over me. There is definitely things that go on with an editor at a company that big that I probably don't know about. Working at Top Cow and Awesome Comics and places like that, like it's a different animal to an extent. You can have more time to be personal with people. Maybe at Marvel, it's not the case. I think it should be, but maybe it's not, or maybe they are and they get to, it's just weird to me because like comics back in the day, in like the 70s and 80s, and even before that, you had an artist, you would have to, so a writer would like mail a script, the artist would draw it. That's why a lot of times back then you would have artists draw things and the writers would add the dialogue later because they would have to mail these pages across the US and to New York and all these places so the inkers can ink them and the colorists can color them, and yet books still came out on time a lot of times. And nowadays we have all these things like it's so much easier now on some levels to make a comic book. And yet there's all these things that still prevent it from happening at times or being late. And there's so much instant communication. And I'm like, well, are they not using it? But to be fair, I don't know everything they do. So they could be, but I just feel like when I see so many inconsistencies in books, I usually go right to the editors and I go, all right, even if I'm wrong about who's really to blame on this one, it still at some point has to come across their desk to catch these things on some level. And so I feel it's a fair criticism. So yeah, I know. I've heard very nice things about Devin Lewis. People were like, oh, he's really nice. He sent me like variant covers. If you're ever missing an issue, you could probably email him. And I said, well, I'm fine. If I'm missing an issue, I just won't have that issue. It's not the end of the world. Or I'll buy it digitally. Like I'm a pretty simple person, but I just was like, well, that's fine. I never judge people. I try not to judge them on their careers and how they are in real life. They could be the sweetest people in the world and perfect for their jobs on a lot of levels. And they may just have a lot to do, and they just didn't catch a few things. People make mistakes. I understand, but I feel like I see him a lot when I see his name on a book, and I hate that because I'm sure he's a really awesome person. So I don't know. I feel bad sometimes, but that's a fair opinion to have too. Like I don't know. I don't think I'm qualified to do anything other than give an opinion. I think everyone can have an opinion, but I'm kind of glad I don't edit comic books anymore. So whatever job he's doing, he still would do a better job than me, I think, because I don't know if I could do that job. I think I would burn out on it pretty quickly. I'm not particularly fond of Venom as a villain unless used sparingly. Based on what I read from the early Spidey books, it's kind of got old fast for me, and that's the case. I mean, that is how some people feel, which is why they embraced the anti-hero version better, because I think people just saw a little bit more depth there than, and that's what they wanted out of the character. And other people are fine seeing him as like the guy who terrorizes Spider-Man, So it kind of as a revenge thing. So I think the character works. Like Batman's a really great character as far as you can interpret him different ways, and he works a lot of times. I think Venom could be that, but most people just kind of like him as a villain or an anti-hero, and so that they just kind of go back and forth between those things. But I think you could do more with that character, and maybe someday someone will. We'll see. Al Ewing just seems to be setting up more like, oh, there's a woman that looks like Hela with a crown of darkness, and just looks like more bullshit. Like to me, I'm like, I don't care. Um, Yet, oddly enough, I probably would have liked him if he started out as a. Yeah, see, I think that's true. I think if he started out as an anti-hero, we probably wouldn't like him as much. I think for those of us who like him as an anti-hero, needed that beginning to be as dark as it was, I guess, so that he could find his way to the light. Because that's kind of what Eddie Brock's journey is. He was in a church asking God for forgiveness because he wanted to kill himself, and look how far he's come since then. He's got a son now, and he's got friends, kind of people who look out for him. He became a hero. He was offered to be an Avenger. I mean, I still, like, even though I'm critical of Donnie's stuff, I still like the progress that Eddie Brock has made as a human being in fiction, because not a lot of comic book characters get to do that. Peter Parker certainly isn't a father with a family and have that kind of life. So kudos to Eddie Brock. I'm not particularly fond of Venom as a villain unless you. Oh, I already read that. I'm sorry. Or maybe you said it again. Oh. VCX says audio only with disconnected video is fine. Some of my favorite YouTube videos are just people talking about their ideas or criticisms of something. That's what some of the episodes of the Halo thing will be. But if people end up liking those, there will be more. I'm gonna dip my foot in the water at first and only do like 1 or 2 of those in the first like 8 episodes or 10 episodes. There's only 2 episodes planned like that. But again, I'm just talking about like things like work ethic and maybe I'll talk about that. I don't want to talk about too much stuff that happens at work because I don't want to cross those streams, but maybe the idea of stealing or something, like just like moral things. Like, I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to get controversial, but I do want to like get opinions on stuff. And at times I'll probably invite some of you to be on the show, and we'll do like a quick 10-minute conversation on StreamYard. If you have so if I do an episode and you have a passionate opinion about it, or that you're like, dude, I love this topic, I want to talk to you about this, I have some thoughts, then we will record an episode, and I'll make that an episode later on. And then sometimes I might think of a couple topics and I'll go, I don't know which one I feel like doing. So I'll put in the community board, here's 4 episode ideas. You guys vote, and I'll let you guys vote what the next Halo episode will be. So I think it'll still be interactive, just in different ways. And like I said, from time to time, maybe we'll still do a live stream like this, but for the most part, it'll be audio only. Because like I said, I heard someone get criticized recently about them not changing on YouTube, and that's why they don't grow. And I think, again, for me, it's not just about viewer count. Like that's great that we keep growing. I like that. I mean, it certainly makes me feel good that we're pulling in more Venom fans and stuff, but I'm trying to grow as a person, right? And I'm still trying to figure things out. And so I'm like, well, I've been doing kind of the same thing for 4 years, and I think it is time. Like, I changed jobs. I was at Lego for 4 years, and I said, you know what? This is enough. I've grown as much as I can here. My health is declining. I need to move closer to home. I need to find a different job. And, while I still can work and in a different field, even though it's still retail, but it's like, Harley Davidson's way different than Lego for sure. The only thing that's consistent or comparison is that there's hardcore people that shop for Lego, that go to Lego stores, and there's hardcore Harley fans that come to Harley. So it's a specialty store, if you want to call it that. So that's similar, but everything else is different. And the type of people you meet are different, but also not so different. So, yeah, so I don't know. I'll get into that, but that'll be kind of my plan for those audio things. Is Halo has a thing about audio logs where people leave audio logs, to update you on lore and stuff like that. So that's why I'm doing audio logs, and that also prevents me from having lights in my face all the time because some nights I can't handle it. Kulon Gath, that's his name. Thank you so much, Eddie. Yeah, I'm gonna be. Well, the good thing about Halo is that I don't know the world of Halo very. I mean, I don't know like numbers, like dates and stuff. I'm not very good at those when it comes to Halo because it's like the year 2556 or I don't know. It's like it's so far in the future. I can't remember the days and it's like Reach has like a oh god like a 36-hour day clock, whereas we have 24 hours in a day. They have like 30 or something like that. It's like it's so much. There's so much to remember in Halo. So that show's not really a lore diving show, although we might do lore episodes from time to time. But really, just I might just review some of the comics and as far as lore goes, and then play the games, and that's probably it. I won't get into the novels really and all that stuff. So it won't be like this show where I have to like I cram stuff and then I forget it the next day. It's not like that. Like the Halo show, the first few episodes you'll see when I start uploading them tomorrow, it's me just hitting record and talking. And then once I see the 15-minute marker, I cut it off and then I edit it down if I have to edit out any ums or too many like if my lips smack or something, I try to edit some of that out and then I'll upload it. So it's a little more laid back in presentation, but instead of just like in Venom vlog, sometimes when you just hear my voice, you see pictures from comic books go up. With this, you'll actually see gameplay of the game. And I'll be, for the first bunch of episodes, you'll be seeing gameplay from my playthrough of the beta testing when they did the tech demo a month ago. I played for 6 days. I got to play Halo Infinite multiplayer, and the game's not out until December. So I got to play it early and it was a blast. Most people don't know how I'm actually pretty active in the Halo community. Not as Seek or Seek and Destroy, but I do try to pop in from time to time on things Halo related and kind of catch up. I'm very interested in that world. I really am. So your future self is going to say, add fuzzy nuts to the board. Did I troll myself? I know, man. If I better add that tonight because this is going to make no freaking sense. If I see it tomorrow, the next day, and I have a memory lapse, I'll be like, what the what? What? Add fuzzy nuts. Like, what is it? My fuzzy nuts or like an actual person named Fuzzy Nuts? Yeah, new dude is called Meridius, and Eddie died already in the first issue. Oh, what the fuck? Okay, good. What you just mentioned about Eddie is what makes it so difficult for me to criticize the Cates run. Every time I notice an issue, he manages to bribe me with a moment of Eddie and Dylan hugging. I mean, that's the thing. No, I am critical of Donnie's run, but I definitely pointed out stuff I liked as well. I mean, I certainly was adamant and vocal about the stuff I didn't like, but that's what I'm saying. Donnie Cates, I believe, is a good writer. I've seen and read some of his stuff that I really, really like, but I just felt like at times his like metaphors weren't really good metaphors, or his themes, he wouldn't stick to them. He wouldn't, pace a story well enough. Like, I'm just like, I know this guy is great, but he just doesn't show it sometimes. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like half the time he spent on Twitter explaining his run because people just didn't get it. And I'm like, yeah, dude, sorry. Like, I think you could have done this better or streamlined this idea more or whatever. But again, those are just my opinions. But it looks like there's some other people at least agreed with me on some of them. But he did have some good moments in that run. And like I said, overall, he did grow Eddie in a way that was unique and hadn't really been done before. And so, I mean, that's my biggest takeaway from that book is I thought he did a great job with that. And also the Maker, which I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with that character. I really like to think of the idea that Dylan could have a fight with Flash or Silence or even Toxin. Even Dylan could be a deuteragonist in the run. Oh, okay. I mean, sure. I mean, Dylan, I mean, I'm sure at some point he's going to cross paths with Flash. I mean, that would make sense to get those characters and interacting. But it's funny because like the way Brian Hitch draws, like Dylan looks like he's 30. I'm like, isn't Dylan a kid still? So I saw like the preview pages came out and I was like, who's that? Is that Dylan or Eddie? Like I couldn't even tell. So I don't know. I mean, he still draws a hell of a lot better than I do, but still. I would have liked a Dylan Venom Bren Toxin shared book like DC Super Sons. That's where I thought they were going with it, or at least do Dylan and Normie, and maybe we'll still get something like that at one point. But the Bren Toxin thing's interesting. That's why I stuck around. One of the reasons I stuck around with Extreme Carnage, but that book didn't really end that well to me. So the most infuriating thing about Donnie was that he wrote really great issues and then just awful lazy ones. That was my thing. I mean, I share that opinion. Like I thought, man, holy shit, this issue was amazing, and then two issues in a row would be not nearly as good, and then the next issue I'm like, all right, this I'm perked up. This is actually pretty good. And I don't know, it was all over. It was very inconsistent, at least in my opinion, and I guess Eddie's opinion too. That's like Star Wars timeline, 4,000 years before the Battle of Yavin. Revan used the Star Forge to wage war. And you're speaking Greek to me. The Star Forge was made 30,000 years before Yavin. yeah, it's like one of those math equations where, like, if someone goes this distance, but then this person has this many eggs, and you're like, what do the eggs have to do with any what? Yeah, it's kind of like that. So I Star Wars was the thing old me was a big fan of. I guess after my aneurysm, I was trying to get back into Star Wars, and I really only liked Clone Wars and Rebels, and I didn't really like much else of Star Wars. I mean, the old movies, I guess, they're pretty good. Obviously, like I didn't hate watching them. The prequels, I didn't have a good time watching, and the new ones, I didn't really have a good time watching. Although I don't hate them either. I'm just kind of like in the middle of the road. And usually, when I'm like, if I give something like a 7 or an 8, like I do the Venom movies and some other things, I'm like, okay, that's good. That's a good rating for me because I'm pretty cynical and I also know how things work behind the scenes sometimes. So for me to see a finished product and go like, well, I know how some of this is done, but still my cynical jaded side, I'm still optimistic and I like this. 7 or 8 is pretty good for me, because that means it still held my interest. But if when I give something like a 4 or 5, that's like middle of the road, right? That means I have like almost no feeling over it. I don't hate it and I don't love it. It just exists. And that's kind of how I feel about Star Wars. So I kind of lost interest in Star Wars over the years, but Halo has been that's my Star Wars. Like I'm even wearing a Halo shirt tonight. Let me turn this, hide this. Greetings from Reach. And it says like stay glassy. So like right down there, stay glassy, which is horrible. It's a horrible thing because that's what the Covenant do. They glass a planet and wipe you out. So yes, actually you told me earlier about the No Way Home trailer. So I will keep an eye out for that on Tuesday. Sounds good. Seek the Halo thing. Oh, well, I'll have an episode up tomorrow, but it's just like an intro episode. So, check it out. But it's just me showing off some of my Halo collection. It's nothing like super major. And I don't know if I'll even have it up tomorrow morning. I'll probably have it up tomorrow night. But then I'll do like a Reach episode where I play the first 15 minutes of the video game and kind of talk about, some of that there. Then you'll probably get the hard work or work ethic episode. And then, so that'll be like a regular topic episode. And then we'll go from there, but I'm kind of going to throw a bunch of darts at a dartboard and see what sticks with you guys, at first. Someone else, I think it was actually that person mentioned it. Actually, if Dylan Brock comes to MCU, probably won't happen until 25. Who do you want to act as him? I mentioned this before. I'm not very good at casting people. So I don't know. I don't know like any kids his age. I guess they would probably just pick some kid from Stranger Things, I guess. Maybe the kid who works at the ice cream shop from one of the later seasons or whatever. I don't know. Like I have no idea. I'm not very good at casting. But you're probably right. It'd probably be a while before you can't have Dylan because then that makes, even though Eddie's like Tom Hardy in real life is a couple years older than me. He's like 43, I think, or somewhere around there. So, he would have a son that's Dylan. I mean, Tom Hardy does have a son that's Dylan's age in real life, but that's also someone who's like 6 years younger than Tom Holland or something. So, I don't know. Well, we'll see. We'll see what they do with that. But you'll probably see. No, I mean, also him and Anne's not pregnant, right? So it'd probably be weird to throw Dylan into a movie so soon. I remember what you said earlier about Ewing, and that got me curious. You didn't like Immortal Hulk. I did like his run, for the most part. I just didn't like something he did near the end of his run that was personal. It had nothing to do with the comic. But to me, it felt like it told me a lot about him as a person, and I kind of, it made me see him in a different way. And I could be wrong, although I think there was one time where they were doing, and I could be wrong about this because my memory is for crap. So maybe I won't. I'll mention it, but I could be wrong. So if I am, just say I'm wrong. I think there was like a comic book panel that I wanted to go to at a Comic-Con one year that was about diversity in comics, and Al Ewing was there, and I thought, oh, okay, he must be on there because I thought Al Ewing was a black guy or someone, something. And then when and I think at the time he was writing like the Blue Marvel, like the Ultimates book or whatever. And so I went to see who this guy was because I kind of like this book that he's doing. and the Ultimates. And then I went and saw, and I was like, oh, he's just a big bearded white guy. And I'm like, okay, well, what is he doing on this diversity panel? I go, well, I guess he's a white guy. Maybe he's the token white guy in the panel or something. So I don't know. That kind of threw me off my perception of him in the beginning on that level, because I was like, I guess I was expecting to see a guy who wasn't a big fat white bearded guy. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Why did I think he looked different? I don't know why. So that was my own fault. But then on Immortal Hulk, I guess his artist, who I actually reached out to be on this show as a guest, because Joe, I think was the name of the artist, he drew the issues where Carnage bonded with the Silver Surfer back in the that Spider-Man run. And we had discussed that at that time in the comics on the show. And then I reached out to him on Twitter back when I had Twitter, and I asked if he wanted to be a guest on the show. And he said he would. Joe Bennett, I think his name is. And he said he would. Seemed like a really nice guy. But I guess over the years, he's drawn things that, I guess are controversial or not well thought out. Maybe he did it because it was a commission, and he just did it because that's what he was paid to do or whatever. I don't know. But I know there's controversy around some of his art. But Al Ewing, because he had a great artist on Immortal Hulk. I mean, Joe Bennett's a great artist, and his Hawkman run is fantastic that he did over at DC and stuff. Like, he's a fantastic artist, been in the industry for like 20 plus years. And Al Ewing was like, after everyone canceled Joe, they canceled him after he did his last issue of Hulk. So then Al Ewing felt comfortable coming out and saying, yeah, this guy's been kind of a problem throughout the few years I've worked with him. And I talked to him about it privately behind the scenes because I didn't want to cancel him or anything like that, or go that far, which I don't know if that's true or not. But then he said, but now that he's canceled, I just want to come out and tell everyone I was never, I would call him out on stuff. Like, he, trying to be like, don't cancel me too, because I worked with him. And he kind of had that attitude of like, I'm on your side kind of thing. And I don't know, that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Like, and he did it after the run ended. So it's like, oh, I don't need your amazing art on my book anymore because we finished it. Now that you're being canceled, I can now be more vocal about it and say I cancel you too. And I don't know, that's how I interpreted it. Maybe I didn't get all the information. I wasn't on Twitter then, so some of that information came through websites and stuff. So to be fair to all parties, Al Ewing and Joe and everyone, I don't know the full story. I just felt like integrity-wise, that seemed kind of crappy to be like, hey, I got you for my whole run, all the issues I needed you for, and now I'm not going to work with you again. I feel like someone you work with that long, you would want to try to work with again, whether you agree with them or disagree with them on something political or whatever. But that's just my opinion. And I know the comic industry is not like that for the most part. But so I like the Immortal Hulk run. But after that, I've agreed, okay, well, if he's okay with parting ways with his artist and kind of, distancing himself from him, then I feel like that doesn't show any kind of, I don't know, like willingness to, I don't know, I don't know how to say it, but like, I just felt like it made me see him differently, and it made me even more so. I already didn't want to read Venom anymore, but it clinched that decision for me. So for me, I'm not really a big Al Ewing fan on a personal level, but through the lens of someone on the media's interpretation. So I could be wrong. And to be fair, I probably am. I'm not a very smart guy, and I don't always have all the facts or details. I just, from my perspective, that's what it looked like he did. And it rubbed me the wrong way, and it made me not want to read the book even more. So I know that's why I dislike about this new run. He would draw really good, but there are some moments when I really think he was sleeping. Oh yeah. Brian Hitch, got to go. Hope everyone has a good one. You too, VCX, man. See you later. Steve Buscemi is Dylan. Yeah. Hey, fellow kids, or whatever that meme is from Community. All these milquetoast white dudes waving the diversity flag in comics always feel so shallow. I think, yeah, I mean, yeah, a little bit too. I mean, I get it. Like I say it all the time. Like I'm pretty liberal dude. Like I actually am. I do have maybe some things that some would consider conservative on some levels, but for the most part, I always have the mindset of like, treat others the way you want to be treated, and respect is earned and not given. But I've tried over the last couple of years to maybe give a little respect when I meet someone new. And I'm actually surprised by the results. I actually get it back. And it's like someone I'm just meeting. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give them the respect to listen to what they're saying let them finish their thought before I interject or have an opposing opinion. And I've noticed that my interactions in real life with people have just been way more rewarding. Like I said, I like people and talking to them. And I feel like there was a time where I was shutting people down. Oh, you think this way? No, I don't want to hear anymore. And you start boxing yourself into these echo chambers. And I just reached a point where I'm like, no, I'm still liberal. I'm still, who I am, I guess, for the most part. And I still believe in certain things. But I also like, I'm interested in hearing other people's like what they believe in and what makes them get up out of bed every day and what's important to them. And these are things that I just that make those make people interesting. Like if someone voted for like Nancy Pelosi, I'm like, that doesn't make you interesting to me. I don't care. I don't like Nancy Pelosi anyway. So like that doesn't you're not winning any points for me by saying that. But what makes you go to work every day and do your job and how do you do your job the best you can, and how do you make your work environment fun for everyone but also productive? Those are way more interesting things to me about a person than who they voted for. I don't give a shit who you vote for. And I don't think because you voted for someone, that means you believe everything that that person stands for or says. Because you probably know as well as I do, politicians are full of shit. They don't mean anything they say. They just hear what the opposing person says and they have the opposite stance. And that's the whole goal is they're trying to pull people away from the other side, and it's just a giant grift. And every money they say they're going to raise for like stimulus packages and all these things, they're not going to spend jack shit of it on anything they say they're going to spend it on. We're all being grifted. All politicians are awful people, and there's some that try to do good, but after a couple of years of being in the system of it, they become awful people also. So and not it's not 100%. Obviously, I don't want to generalize, but I'm sure there's a couple nice politicians out there somewhere who are very good people, but for the most part, they're clouded and jaded and awful, and they have a salary of $140,000 a year, but somehow they're worth $20 million because they make all these deals with corporations and all this crap. So it's a tinfoil rabbit hole. I'm not going to go down here, but what I'm saying is I still, even if I have those opinions, I like hearing people who don't have those opinions and who don't see the world that way, because I understand I am weird. so so yeah. But I don't mind when someone says, "Oh, I want more diversity in the story. I would like this representation." None of those things are bad to me. What is bad is when it's not done well, because I don't think you do anyone any favors if you're like, I need more Hispanic characters in the story, and then they're all written poorly and they're awful people and awful characters. You're not doing anything good for Hispanic representation in comics. You want to make someone matter and be cool and be interesting and have depth to them, and be someone you want to tune into every week to see what they're doing. Miles Morales has that effect on me. I think he's one of the greatest additions to Marvel Universe in the past 20 years, and he works for me. Even when bad writers write him, I'm still intrigued to see what they do with him, because he's neat to me, and I think he works as a concept. And I think that's why his movie was so good, because there's a foundation there that needs to be mined for more potential. And I think a lot of comic writers are having trouble finding that voice for Miles, but the movie did a really good job. I think the movie is the best version of Miles Morales out there. So yeah, I mean, I'm one of those white guys that will wave a diversity flag, because I think it's important too. But I also want to do it right. Like some of my favorite characters growing up were black characters, like Bishop and Storm on the X-Men, for example, were two of the most badass characters to me. And Wolverine, who's like a short Canadian dude, you know. So and then like Thunderbird, who was like a Native American guy on the X-Men. And I always use that as a reference when people complain, like, "Oh, SJW this," because I hate that argument too. I go, if Giant Size X-Men #1 came out today, everyone would scream SJW garbage on it. They'd be like, look at this. Look, there you got a black character, you got an Irish guy, you got a Canadian, you got a Native American, you got who was on a team? You got Blue Nightcrawler, who's German. Like, you got all those characters, and it's just the most diverse cover of any, because the first X-Men comic was 5 white people and a white guy in a wheelchair. It was the least diverse comic book cover ever. And then you get Giant Size X-Men, and there's a whole bunch of new characters on there of all different backgrounds. Not a single one of them is a white American. The only American on the team is Thunderbird, who's Native American. So to me, If that comic came out now, everyone would scream SJW, but that's one of the greatest X-Men comics of all time. So you have to look past the goal of adding diverse characters to something and give it a chance. But that's when they lose people sometimes, is that people do try to give it a chance and they get burned because the characters aren't well written. And that's on people. It's like, all right, you have the agenda to do that. That's great. But you also have the talent to back up that agenda. You need both. And sometimes people don't have both, in my opinion. Oh, I think I know what country you're talking about. Me and Joe are from the same country. Yeah, I can understand how you feel about Ewing, though. That thought that at the same time. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so I don't know if I have all the facts, but that's how I felt about him, and so it made me even more so go, okay, I don't need to. I wasn't going to read New Venom anyway. Now I definitely am not gonna. Imagine Venom 2's alternate ending started with Eddie sitting in his apartment, all bloody looking, and then Venom says, "Holy shit, what is that?" Eddie then looks at a portal, opens up, "Hello," and oh, that would have been cool. That's another good idea. Well, maybe we'll see that in Spider-Man. You never know. At the end says, "Come back for 2022." There you go. Nice. I think people are making theories of Venom and Doctor Strange too. That'd be a weird place to put him, but you may see some other Marvel characters in Doctor Strange too. I don't know if that's been revealed yet, so I won't say anything. The most honest politician I've ever seen is Carnage. Now that the guy is honest about his beliefs. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's the most honest politician for sure. Night Watch and Cardiac were some of my favorites as a kid. Oh, see, there you go. Yeah, Cardiac's a great character. I liked Dan Slott brought him back in and made him like a doctor working for Parker Industries or something when Superior Spider-Man was going, or Horizon Labs or something. I thought that was cool. Yeah, Cardiac's great. Spawn, obviously. Al Simmons is a in the military, black and Republican. They say all of those three things about him in the first issue of Spawn. And I find him deeply interesting as a character. I think nowadays he's kind of just like angry all the time, but that's because he literally holds the fate of the universe in his hands. So it's making him cranky and no one's listening to what he says. But I do like Al. I find him interesting. I usually think if you make a deal with the devil in fiction, it's dumb. Everyone knows that's a bad thing to do. But yet, like Johnny Blaze and Al Simmons both made deals with the devil, and I think it turned out interesting for those characters. They've kind of turned my mind around a little bit, and I've been rereading old. I've never been a big Johnny Blaze fan. I always liked Dan Ketch, obviously, but I own the Masterworks versions of the Ghost Rider Johnny Blaze stuff. I think Volume 3 just came out, so I don't have any money for that right now, but I'll probably get it one day when it goes on clearance for like $20 maybe. But I was rereading those, and I'm like, those early Johnny Blaze stories are actually really good. Actually, they're really, really good. And he's got a new book coming out. So I think I talked about, no, I haven't talked about it yet on the Highway to Hell show. So maybe I'll do an episode of that next week. What do you think of Mecha Scream? What is Mecha Scream? Is that like a robot version of Scream? That's cool. I don't know anything about it. That's funny. I'm Irish and my mom's side comes from the Red Indians, Native Americans. Is that possible? Yeah, sure. My family's Irish. My grandfather, Donnelly, I think, came to this country from Ireland, and my grandmother came here from Italy. But she also has a Spanish background, so she's like half and half, I think, because her name is Giglio, her Italian name, but her maiden name, I think, is Cortez. So that's I'm kind of a, well, I would just say I'm white because I don't know what my dad was, but he was clearly white, I guess. And my mom is as white as can be. So I mean, I guess I come from all that stuff my grandparents are, but I mean, I don't know. I was born 39 years ago and I was born 11 years ago. So yeah, I don't know. It's cool. Yeah, we're both Irish. Heck yeah. Yeah, my last name is Donnelly, Sikh Donnelly. So yes, we are both Irish. Anyway, so yeah, I should probably wrap it up. I think we've done 2 hours. You guys got an extra 40 minutes out of me. I was going to end around 9, but I'm going to go call my mom. Obviously, I'm going to check on Echo. I'm going to see if I can walk him one more time. I appreciate you all being here. I appreciate Fuzzy Nuts and Did You See That's donations tonight. That was very nice of you guys. I will try to do more live streams when I can. I'll just have to, it's hard for me to plan stuff. I work more. That's another reason why YouTube videos, well, one, because some of the videos I've been making lately have taken a lot of edits and a lot of time. And then I've also been working on the Halo show in the background. and trying to get a bunch of those episodes done so I can release a bunch leading up to the new game coming out, which comes out in less than a month. And then we also have Resident Evil, which comes out in 2 weeks, almost just under 2 weeks. So I do a lot. I'm still working on Neverland. I'm trying to do House of Ghosts as well now. So I went from working like, I did work 5 days a week at my job, but one of the days was flexible. Like I didn't have to come in. And sometimes with my health, I wouldn't go in. But I knew if I didn't go in, I would have to make sure my sales were better on the day I did go in so that I can still get that bonus. Right. And so I would work harder on those days. So now I can't miss a day of work because then I just lose money. There's no bonuses anymore. If I miss a day of work, I lose a pretty good amount of money. Like it's not worth it, to miss a day. Even if I feel like crap, I'm like, I got to try to tough it out and go in. So that's what I do my best with that. Or if I go in, I'm like, okay, I don't feel good. Maybe I'll leave like around 3 or 4. So I'm only losing 2 hours of work or whatever. Like, you got to make those decisions. But now I work a full 5 days a week. And that is different. That changed about a month and a half ago. So that's also affected how much time, because now that I work and I'm standing and doing all that stuff for as long as I am, for 8 hours or so or more, then I come home and I walk Echo and I don't have energy. There's some nights I don't even eat dinner. I just fall asleep, and then I'll wake up at 2 a.m. and I'll try to work on some stuff, and then I'll fall asleep here on my computer, or that's why I moved my bed right here next to me, so I can just crawl over into the bed. Because for a while there, I think it was a couple of days where I woke up here at my desk with like a crick in my neck and stuff, and it was bad. So I'm trying to take care of myself, and I always say I'm gonna, and then I forget. I don't have it here. It's outside. If you go out that door right there, that's my closet. That's my bedroom door. It goes out into my living room. Right on the wall, right when you come out, on the wall right here on the other side of these Resident Evil paintings, there's a bunch of dry erase boards and cork boards, my passwords to logins and information all on there, emergency contacts pinned on there, notes to myself. There's a dry erase board that has stuff written on there, bills I've paid, I check them off. I mean, I live by that thing. It's what I look at every day, to see where I need to begin in case I forgot where I just left off. And that does make it tough for me to make YouTube videos. So it's been hard to explain all that because, again, I don't want people to worry about me. I'm not in pain. This is just a progression of the stuff I've been going through. So I'm not in pain. Like, don't worry about me. I have to reconfigure things. And so it's just making videos, editing them, watching myself say things that I don't remember saying and editing that. Like that Venom vlog 700 episode that sucked. Because I was like, I wrote down a bunch of ideas, but clearly I didn't write down all my ideas. And then when I was editing it, I was like, I had new ideas. And I was like, well, why didn't I do this? Or why, and it was an hour video, and it was actually an hour and 20 minutes. And I cut it down to an hour because I talked about a whole bunch of other stuff. And I was like, you know what? This isn't important. Kraven's Last Hunt, I'll do a whole episode on that. Death of Gene DeWolf, we already talked about. There's other stories at the Black Costume. I'm like, I'm not going to include it here. I'm cutting all this out. So yeah, there's a lot cut out of that episode. But yeah, so because it's gotten tough doing the Halo things has been really easy for me. Now it is easier to make because I can just take the footage and then I just talk, and then I see 12 minutes when I'm recording, and I go, okay, let's wrap this up. It's easier for me. And then that way I have completed episodes all usually in one take or so that I don't have to do a lot of editing to. I can paste it over the footage and then just render it and upload it to you guys. So we'll try a couple, see what you think of it, and I'd love feedback, and we'll fine tune it. But that is the kind of show I want to do moving forward. That'll be the kind of the main show. And Halo is just something that I really love, just like Resident Evil, and it's something that usually sticks in my head for the most part. Most things do, but I'm trying to pick things that are in long-term memory because I can still rely on my long-term memory for the most part. So it's hard to teach me new things sometimes, but long-term things I know pretty well. And out of a lot of the universes I'm a fan of, Resident Evil's one. We do that on the other channel, but that's going to end at some point. Halo's a good second one. So we'll have that stuff to you guys very soon. Take care of Echo. I will. Thank you, Eddie's mullet. Johnny Blaze, to me, is Ghost Rider equivalent of Eddie Brock in a way, but unlike Eddie, I think writers lost their footing with the character and haven't got back since. Well, we might see a change in that coming up, and I'll talk about that in an upcoming episode for you. All right, take care, Seek. Have a good night. You too. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for all being here. Thanks for the donations tonight, and thank you for being a fan of the show and watching me. It means a lot. I mean, I don't like the term fan, so thanks for being my friends. That's what I wanted to do when I started this show. I wanted to meet other Venom fans, so we're all fans of Venom, but hopefully we're all friends with each other, and I'd rather that. I don't like the term fan. I'm not someone to be idolized or looked up to. I'm just a person with an opinion, and I like sharing it, and I like hearing all yours. So we'll do a lot more of that coming up on the show. Thank you so much. I will see you all in the future. Peace.